Thomas Paine, Sam Adams, Benjamin Franklin. These men spoke up for what they thought was right. From their courage came such documents as the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution of the United States. From their willingness to speak what was sometimes unpopular but right, we enjoy such liberties as freedom of speech, the right to keep and bear arms, and freedom of religion. There are those who still wish to oppress our freedoms, and there are still patriots willing to stand up and defend life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Men like Zeb Bell, who honor our founding fathers and what they stood for. It's now time for Zeb at the Ranch, speaking up and defending your freedoms. Brought to you by Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers and all of the other great advertisers on the program. And now, Zeb Bell.
I have some burning questions that need answers this morning, and the first one is this. If you spin an Oriental man in a circle 3 times, does he become disoriented? And the real burning question of the morning is, if one synchronized swimmer drowns, do the rest drown too? Here comes Kate Smith, and God Bless America, followed by a Patriot, with our Pledge of Allegiance on a Tuesday. Oh, it's going to be a nice one. Thank you very much, Kate Smith. God bless America on a Tuesday, July 30th already. And welcome to Zeb at the Ranch. I'm Zeb Bell, and welcome to my humble abode. And brought to you by our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 great locations serving you, along with some of our great advertisers that include Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More at 459 Overland and Burley, and our friends at Western Waste Services, always at your disposal. Get on the route service today, 734-6969. And just absolutely a phenomenal lady that I trust her with everything that she does on this program. Great job, Gina Jameson. Good morning.
Well, good morning, sir, and it's going to be a beautiful day.
Hot day, again.
Hot day, yes.
Yeah.
So, did you have a wonderful evening?
Not as good as yours.
Well, you know, it was a fun time with my brother. Of course, yesterday was his birthday, and so barbecued, mowed the lawn, and drank a little bit too much wine, and had some good laughs, and watched a movie, and that was about it.
Did you eat the oysters?
He did. I did not. But I did make him just the way, because he likes them pan-fried, and he likes the way I do it pan-fried, and so I got him a small little jar of oysters, and I made him his pan-fried oysters.
Oh, you are so good to your brother, because nobody should be forced to have those things.
I looked at those, I'm like, ugh, but I did it anyway.
Slimy, greasy.
No, but they were fresh.
I don't like them.
I don't care.
Do we have a pledger?
We do have a pledger, and then we have Michael Rogers on for the weather.
Very good. Good morning, Pledge of Allegiance person.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I know who this is, and you always do a great job, my friend. Thank you so much for calling in, and God bless you. Have a wonderful day, okay?
Hey, God bless you, and just remember, no matter how bad things get, they can always get worse.
Amen. How true. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Ladies and gentlemen, right now it is time for the weather, and it's brought to you by our friends at Rock Creek Growers on the corner of Maxine Lane and Irene Streets in Kimberly. Oh my! They've got everything over there, like the sizzling summer specials with ceramic pots in various colors, sizes, shapes, and textures. Oh, they got them all, and they're 50% off all the way through August. Stop in to Rock Creek Growers in Kimberly, or give them a call, 423-6800. Here now, the world's greatest weatherman, MichaelRogersWeather.com.
Hey, can you hear me?
I can. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. I can barely hear you, but if you can hear me, good morning, everybody. It's real simple, just like yesterday. A lot of sun, very little clouds, and it's going to be hot. 94 for the high today. 96 for the high tomorrow. Enjoy the day and enjoy the dog days of summer in the weather. It's the only weather you got.
There's MichaelRogersWeather.com, the world's greatest weatherman, right here on Zeb at the Ranch. Thank you. Brought to you by Rock Creek Growers, corner of Maxine Lane and Irene Streets in Kimberly. Absolutely the best. Oh, good morning, everybody. We got a lot of things to mention. I want to get into a couple public service announcements. First of all, the 4th annual Ride 'em, Race 'em, and Run 'em event is going to be held at Magic Mountain Ski Area. And this is going to be Saturday, August 3rd. And kid-friendly activities and events. Registration is going to be at 2 p.m. Entertainment by Crossfire at 4 p.m. A tri-tip dinner and silent auction at 5:30 p.m. Everybody try to make that. Going to be a lot of fun. And there's going to be a big roping coming up on Wednesday night at the Jerome County Fairgrounds, and another one on Sunday, this Sunday night, and I'll talk to you more about that in just a few minutes. Dave Zanino may be calling in on that, so we'll let him tell you all about it. SafeLink Internet, don't forget, for the best of high-speed wireless Internet, they are the best. That's not bragging, that's a fact. SafeLink Internet, call them at 677-8000, and Shane and the rest of the crew can serve you. Absolutely, we've had them in our home, in our office for a long, long time. They are the best. Please call them today, 677-8000, SafeLink Internet, serving you. And also, I want to remind everybody that, as you know on this program, I am very, very dedicated to my sponsors and my advertisers, and I think I've got the very, very best that there is. And I want to say thank you very much to Daryl's Cleaners at 1223 Albion Avenue in Burley. Oh, my, they do the best job on my old rumply crumplies. I don't care if it's the Wranglers, the sports jackets, shirts, whatever. They can take care of everything. And if it's all stained up from being at a picnic, they can get the stains out and make you look all brand new. Daryl's Cleaners, 1223 Albion Avenue in Burley. You stop in and see them today. All right, calls are welcome and appreciated. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I'm going to get into this story right now about fast food employees, and I'm very, very upset about this. As you know, I am not a big fan of raising the minimum wage. Well, as many of you may or may not have heard, fast food employees in various states are being coerced to walk off their jobs in these states by the SEIU union, a very sinister and very dangerous union, the SEIU. That union, by the way, is the same union that Dave Bego of his great big executive company across the United States had to take to task and literally go all the way to the Supreme Court and beat them. Well, the SEIU union is helping these fast food employees arbitrate and demand that they get a $15 an hour wage. They want to literally double the minimum wage to $15 an hour. Now, right up front, I'm going to tell you that's the dumbest, most ridiculous thing I've ever heard in my life. And if there's somebody out there in the fast food industry that's an employee and you're offended by that, so be it. Because it will be a job killer, it will be a business killer, and it will denigrate and absolutely make destitute the food industry. It will kill it. It's a low-level entry workforce job, $7.50 an hour minimum wage. Let's just leave it in a round figure like that. These people want to have it go clear to $15 an hour. Now, let's do the math here real quick. At $15 an hour, if they're working on a quote-unquote full shift of 8 hours, that means $120 per day, times 5 days, $600 per week, times 4 weeks in an average month, $2,400 a month to the employee. Now, let's take it from the employer's standpoint for a few moments. If you have 8 employees during an 8-hour shift running your restaurant business, that means that you're paying out in wages $19,200 per 8-hour shift, or round it off to where you're spending in approximation $40,000 a month in wages to run your fast food restaurant. It's not going to fly. It's the dumbest, most ridiculous thing I've ever heard, and the SEIU union is pushing it. As a matter of fact, yesterday in the USA Today magazine, or newspaper, they had a complete full-page ad, and the ad starts off by saying, "Meet the new minimum wage employee. It is a robot." And then the verbiage that follows. Today, union-supported activist groups are staging walkouts at restaurants in 7 major cities demanding a $15 hourly wage. This would have negative consequences for employees. Restaurants keep just a few cents in profit from each sales dollar and won't be able to afford current staffing levels when faced with a $15 minimum wage. Instead, they will be forced to replace employees with less costly automated alternatives like touchscreen ordering and payment devices. Ladies and gentlemen, what is the matter with the American public that they don't understand? That by making demands like this, they're going to kill the job market availability and be replaced, i.e., with these robots. Calls are welcome. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. This is very important. Call. I want to hear your opinion. Ramsey Heating and Electric at 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley. The number to call, 678-0459. They opened the doors at 7:30 this morning, and they said, "Come on, we're waiting for you for all your purchases of the cords, cord ends, fuses, lamps, electrical ballast, fluorescent and HID lighting, everything you need electrical right there at Ramsey Heating and Electric. Over 57 years in business where they provide warm winters and cool summers. Ramsey Heating and Electric. 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley. Really, really nice people. Come on, give me a jingle. This is another very insidious movement right now by the SEIU, and it will destroy the food industry, and it will be a guaranteed job killer. I guarantee it. Don't forget, too, Valleywide Home and Ranch. It's fair season, and for all your livestock, you want to make sure that you're feeding your animals the best. Keep them right up there shipshape for all the judging. They've got all the show supplies. They've got all the shavings for the stalls. And, by the way, when you talk about 4-H supplies, if Steve and the crew over at Valleywide Home and Ranch don't have what you're looking for, they'll get it for you. I guarantee you that. They've got all the clothing. They got all the halters. They got all the show sticks. They've got everything at Valleywide Home and Ranch. Please stop in and see the best at 910 South Oneida in Rupert, Valleywide Home and Ranch. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Good morning, Zeb.
Yes, sir.
The minimum wage right now is out of the reach for some businesses because they can't hire these young people like they should. A young person should be able to work after school and make some money, to support themselves. But most businesses, like myself, you can't pay a minimum wage to a young person who has no skills or anything, and you're kind of like on-the-job training, and here you have somebody who's supporting a family trying to live on a minimum wage, which is very, very difficult. It's just not in balance.
Well, wait a minute. I want to get I want to discern exactly quickly where you're coming from. I look at minimum wage jobs as far as working in fast food restaurants or washing cars or something like that as low-level entry jobs into the workforce that should propel people into a want and a need to better themselves through their education and go on. I'm not looking at these to be self-sufficient and reliant to raise a family on. What are your thoughts?
My thoughts are that you should be independent and work hard, and you would be rewarded if that's the case. Case in point is I have an employee. He's one of my oldest employees. He is a brother to my son's wife. Mm-hmm. And he started working for me at the age of 14, washing cars, doing whatever we asked him to do, running errands. And he has stuck with me throughout his years. And he never has asked for a raise. I've always felt that he's valuable enough to me that I'm going to pay him an honest wage so that he may be able to support his family. And he's been with me for probably, say 12 years.
Yeah, but
like that.
We're talking about two different things here, though, Keith. We're talking about a market of entry-level jobs. Let's talk about the teenage market. Let's talk about the students at entry-level positions. And I am very offended that these kids getting into a fast food restaurant job or whatever at a minimum wage of $15 an hour, are you kidding me? That's going to destroy the food industry.
It's going to destroy this country, because if they get away with it there, they're going to move into the West here and wherever they can, and then they're going to start forming unions and everything, and then we're going to be right back in the same place. Because when you double the minimum wage, supposedly they're going to have to double the price of hamburgers.
Absolutely. It's going to be the worst inflationary device that ever hit this country. Keith, I got to run. Thank you for your input. I appreciate it.
Just one more thing. You know, $7 or $15 well, it's $7 an hour turns into $10 an hour time you do your FICA and unemployment and everything else like that. So it's really going to be hurtful.
Absolutely, I agree with you. Thanks, Keith. God bless you, man. Thanks. Yeah, this is absolutely an inflationary and incendiary device that could kill and cripple this country at a time when our economy is just teetering on the balance of falling off the cliff right now as it is. I want to have more people call me on this. I want to hear your opinions, because I remember when we did a little story about minimum wage not too many months ago, a lot of people, oh, well, you're just trying to keep people from making a living. No, I'm not. No, I'm not. But you, the worker, have the right to go out and better yourself, get your education, get into a better paying job. Minimum wage jobs are just that, minimum wage jobs. And they shouldn't be looked at as trying to be the be-all and catch-all and panacea for your life's work. $15 an hour flipping burgers is absolutely repugnant. We're going to have more in just a minute. Give me your calls, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Northwest Seed Company with sales representative Greg Stanger, 329-0097. Write the number down. Give them a call. They've got all your seed needs. That's right. They're helping America grow. 329-0097, and they handle all your alfalfa varieties from Eureka, especially that Whitney variety that really has a dark green, rich color, excellent visual appeal, excellent potential for high-quality hay, the Whitney variety from Eureka, right through our friends at Northwest Seed Company in Hazleton, 329-0097. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Good morning, Zeb Bell. And the unions have gone, just like political correctness, way too far, way too long, and destroyed many. That's why we had so many jobs go overseas through ridiculous demands. Now, any logical thinking person knows that a 16, 14, 16-year-old, 18-year-old high school kid, they've got to start somewhere. and you got to learn to deal with the public, and it's a learning job. It's not a living wage to raise a family on. No, it was never intended for that.
That's right. And the other point is, sir, that it needs to be brought out that if you go ahead and you have a $15 an hour mandatory minimum wage, you're going to see the job market just dry up and blow away, and there won't be employment for those low-level entry jobs.
That's absolutely correct, and that's why I say the unions going a step farther. It's just like I had a short stint 30 years ago with the railroad, and they had a deal called their feather bedding. You just had to get a few number of years, depending on your type of job, and there's no way they could fire you. There's no way, and it didn't make any difference whether you were working or not. You turned in your time, and they paid you. And I know, I saw it. Guys didn't show up for work, and yet they were paid union wage, which was way more than the average wage.
Absolutely.
And for nothing, you can't do that.
I agree.
Production.
And the problem is, and I think you'll agree with me, with the SEIU, a very sinister and very, very dangerous union across the United States getting involved in this, we could turn the fast food industry, or for that matter, many industries, into what Detroit has become, a ghost land. And this is what scares me more than anything. There is no way in the world that minimum wage should be doubled to $15 an hour, and I want to see our politicians stand up and take a stand on this, because this is completely asinine. Sir, I got to run and do a commercial. Thank you.
They're long overdue. Go for it.
All right, sir. Thank you very, very much.
Thank you.
Don't forget our friends at JB's, 136 East 5th North in Burley. Absolutely the greatest place to go eat. Daniel and the rest of the crew, Terry, all of them really take care of you. And the food's great, and the service is impeccable. You're going to love it. Breakfast buffet, oh, it is good. Luncheon specials and steaks and everything. It's just great. And the people really are very nice people. At JB's, the home of Zeb's Lunch Munch in Burley, 136 East 5th North. You stop in and see them today. What are your thoughts on this? Give me a call. I mean, this is, now that they're running huge page ads in national newspapers, and I honestly feel like if you get the SEIU union involved in working with and for these fast food employees in the demanding of double down to $15 an hour, and they're staging walkouts, I say fire every one of them. I say fire every one of them and just say, sayonara, we'll get somebody else coming in the door that's going to work as a low-level entry job. We don't need you. Let every one of them go. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Good morning, Mr. Bell. How are you?
I am good. Your thoughts, please.
Well, I feel that it's BS. Why should minimum wage jobs be double when men and women in law enforcement and fire service are getting paid less? You know, why should they make more than us in law enforcement or fire service?
Now,
we're the ones out there protecting them 24/7, and we're not getting treated right. You know, why should someone flipping a burger make more than someone who puts their life on the line?
No, you're absolutely right. Now, stop right there, because I need to make a point with you. What you're saying, in essence, that at $15 an hour, that would put a wage comparable to what you, as a public service person, working to either be on the police department or perhaps in fire department, etc., that's almost equal or possibly equal to what you're getting a month, and that's not right at all. Is that what your statement is?
Yes, sir, it is.
And I agree with you emphatically. I mean, the lowest paid people in the world are the ones that protect our communities and protect our lives, firemen, police, etc. And to think that a burger flipper, and that's the way I'm going to term it, would demand $15 an hour and be almost comparable to what you as a fireman or policeman make, I find that disgusting and deplorable.
Well, so do I, sir. So do I.
Well, God bless you for your call, and always know you got a friend in me, because I happen to have a close bond with firemen. My son is a fireman, and I know your job is very important. Thank you so much.
You bet. Thank you, sir. Have a good day.
Thank you. Caller number 2, I'm going to ask you to stay on the line. Don't go away. I have a hard break right now, and it's only going to be just a matter of seconds, so stay with us. Don't forget Travelube Supply at 1050 West, 203 South of Hayburn, right there at Jim McCall's farm, 438-8730. Duct tape, man, they got it. My whole place is held up by duct tape. I had to use some yesterday. They've got it all over there for you, and they've got all the closeout on small engine Honda parts, oil and air filters, everything in Bubba Ropes. They got all the Bubba Ropes. They've got them all there for you at Travelube Supply, and that number, 438-8730. It's time quickly for the Capital Press Ag Minute, brought to you by Pacific Steel and Recycling, 320 West Main in Burley, 678-2321. Here is the Ag Minute.
Today's Ag Minute brought to you by the Capital Press, the West Ag Weekly.
USDA investigators said Monday that they are still trying to determine how unauthorized Roundup Ready wheat found its way into an eastern Oregon field. Officials with the Animal and Plant Health Inspection Service said investigators have interviewed 270 growers and tested samples of both seed and grain. The genetically modified wheat developed by Monsanto has not been detected in any other field or in the food distribution chain. The strain was last field tested in 2007, but never submitted for commercialization. While experts say it's unlikely the GMO wheat from the trials spread naturally, officials can't explain how stored seed may have entered the supply chain and found its way to one isolated field in Oregon.
For more agriculture news and information, turn to the West Ag Weekly, the Capital Press, and capitalpress.com.
Brought to you by Pacific Steel and Recycling, 320 West Main in Burley. And if you need help hauling in your scrap to Pacific Steel and Recycling, they have all kinds of bins and dumpsters. And by the way, they've also got trained employees that'll help you load and take it away for you. Give them a call. These are really nice people. 678-2321, Pacific Steel and Recycling, 320 West Main in Burley. Caller, you've waited patiently. Good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning. I worked at a fast food place for 20-some years. And a lot of those young kids that come in there to work don't know how to work. They want a job, but they don't want to work. They don't want to come to work. They just want to collect the money and be there when they want to be there. I was walking past the office one day, and the manager was saying, I hate him, I hate him, I hate him. And so I backed up and I said, you hate who? And he said, these kids. They beg for a job, and then they call in, and they're not there to do it.
I agree. I totally agree. Lorna, I had a circumstance happen a couple of weeks ago. And stay on the line. I'll just tell you the story real quick. Deanne and I were down in Elko, Nevada. And after the rodeo, I said, you want a burger or something? I'm kind of hungry. And she says, I am too. So we whipped into this. I won't mention by name the name of the chain, but we whipped into this chain and ordered a burger and a soft drink. And we got up to the window. And here were, honestly, a bunch of kids working in there that were having a food fight. I'm not exaggerating this. They were throwing towels at each other. They were throwing lettuce at each other. It was just deplorable. The kid that was running the till at the window turned around and grabbed a bun and threw it at another employee. And I absolutely, this is the kind of a nitwit that you're going to give $15 an hour to? Are you kidding me?
Right. I mean, I'd have been a millionaire if I'd have got $15 an hour for all the times I worked.
Well, I agree with you, and thank you very much, Lorna, for your patience. I got to go and answer another call and do a commercial. Thank you so much. God bless you.
Day.
Thank you. Caller, I'll be right with you. Don't go away. Harris Plumbing NG for all your plumbing service needs. Now, I'll tell you something. I've got their number, if I need it, on speed dial, 431-8633. 431-8633. Drips, leaks, clogs, main water line repair, water heaters, softeners. I trust this man, and I'll tell you why. He's done work for me, and he was excellent. Absolutely. Give you free estimates? Why don't you give him a call right now? 431-8633. Harris Plumbing, NG. Nathan Harris, absolutely excellent. You call him today. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Hi, Hoss. This is the chief.
Yes, sir.
Hey, what's the matter with you?
What do you mean, what's the matter with me?
You were saying the same stuff 10 years ago when minimum wage was coming up. here we go like a broken record, you know.
Well, I'll be a broken record because it's going to absolutely be the worst thing for the economy, and there's nobody flipping burgers worth $15 an hour.
Well, I don't see these fast food places hurting at all.
Oh, come on now, Chief. They're living by the skin of their teeth, and that's why we're seeing a lot of turnover and everything else in management and closures, etc. Don't give me that you can afford, if you've got 2 shifts, 2 8-hour shifts. Don't tell me, wait a minute, don't tell...
You bought a gallon of gas lately, dude?
Chief, wait a minute, don't walk on me, I didn't walk on you. You can't tell me that there's no employer around here that can afford a $40,000 a month payroll for a minimum wage job fast food restaurant.
And they're probably making $120.
Oh, you're guesstimating and being problematic because you don't know. You don't know the bottom line. And I'll tell you something.
All I know is I've heard you say this stuff before, but the thing is, buy groceries, buy milk, pay rent.
Then study, go to school, and get a better job.
So that 4 out of 6 people in the country right now are working at poverty level or below.
And whose fault is it, Chief, that they're having to rely on a low minimum wage job? It's their own darn fault. If you want to succeed in life, don't kick somebody else in the butt. Go kick yourself in the butt. Increase your education. Go out and learn and try to get a job or a trade. Become a plumber. Anything you want in life you can do in America if you'll study and go do it. Don't give me this garbage that we should have minimum wage jobs at $15 an hour.
Thing is, the conservatives and the Republicans, it seems like, always got to beat on the little folks. What about the banksters and these Wall Street crooks and these people that are on these 100-foot yachts eating with gold?
How are you ever making an analogy with Wall Street criminals and guys that own yachts in comparison to people that work for a fast food restaurant? That's the biggest stretch. Come on, Chief. Keep it in the ballpark.
Well, they have people that help them pick up their goblets of wine that stand by the side of the table so they can be served.
You're starting to sound like an Obama socialist, Chief. And you know what? This is a capitalistic society. You can go out and work hard and achieve. No. Chief, I appreciate your call, but man, I'll tell you what, $15 an hour for flipping burgers is absolutely asinine and ridiculous. Thank you. Appreciate your call. Thanks. I really get upset about this because I absolutely will not bend. I will not weaken. Minimum wage jobs are minimum wage, low-level entry jobs and should be treated as such. If these people want to walk out of these restaurants and not serve for the $7.50 minimum wage, fire them. Good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, Zeb. Take a private in the Army and figure out what he makes an hour. And he's protecting our nation. They don't start out at general wages. They start out at private wages, and they work their way up.
Yeah, the point is, caller, you can't tell me that you're going to have somebody come into the office of a manager of a fast food restaurant or the owner and sit down and say, okay there, Johnny, thank you. This your first job? And Johnny nods his head and he says, yes, it is. Well, we're going to give you $15 an hour. You don't know if that kid's worth 15 cents an hour.
99% of them aren't. What I'm saying is these guys in the fast food restaurant want the $15 an hour minimum wage. Well, then I say let them go to the Army and see what they get per hour minimum wage.
Or, just like the gentleman that called in earlier, firemen, policemen, everything is inflationary when you start giving somebody in a minimum wage job $15 an hour. Why shouldn't there then be a repercussion to where all the police get a doubling in wages, all the firemen get a doubling in wages? Oh, gee, where's all this money going to come from? Well, they'll just print more with the Obama administration.
Well, I own my own business, and I wished I could double my wages.
Yeah, me too, my friend. Me too.
The hours involved, I don't make $15 an hour.
You know, I'm not going to put it out on the air what I draw from my company, but I'm going to tell you this much, my dear friend. It's less than what these little burger flippers would get on a minimum wage job at $15 an hour. I don't draw that out of my company, I'll tell you that.
I don't either. And for that guy talking about these people that own in yachts and stuff, well, some of them worked their way up from the bootstraps. Some of them started out
with
nothing.
Amen.
And worked hard and succeeded.
There is the key to the whole conversation this morning. That's the key to the whole conversation. They want to gimme, gimme, gimme instead of I'll work my way up and pull my own boots on. I am fed up with this kind of gimme, gimme, gimme mentality.
Me too.
All right, my friend. God bless you. Thanks.
Take your blood pressure pills, then.
I'm mad. Thanks.
Have a good day.
All right, caller, I'll be right with you. Don't go away. Don't forget our friends over in Rupert celebrating the Minidoka County Fair. Magic Valley Carpet at 613 D Street in Rupert. Not just a carpet shop. No. They've got vinyl tile supplies, hardwood carpet. They've got it all, and the best installers and best prices in the valley. Along with our friends at Snyder Automotive and Truck Parts at 205 West Ellis Street in Paul. Number to call, 438-5400. They specialize in diesel engine and fuel injection repair, and they have all the tools, chemicals, lubricants, safety equipment, everything at Snyder Automotive and Truck Parts in Paul. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Good morning, Zeb. How are you?
I'm mad as heck. Why?
Well, I'm about the same. Keith got me a little upset there. I've got experience in the restaurant industry, and if he thinks that people are making $120,000 a year, he's got rocks in his head.
All right, now wait a minute. Stop right there. I'm going to ask you some questions. I did some quick math in my head, and I could be off. But if you had 2 8-hour shifts with 8 people per shift in a restaurant, you're looking at a payroll for at minimum wage being raised to $15. You're looking at a $40,000 a month payroll, my friend. How are you going to meet that?
There's no way. The cost of things right now, those restaurants are so tight, they can't hardly pay the bills right now, and you got to put that kind of payroll, you ain't going to have a place to go eat anymore.
This is ridiculous. You're looking at almost over $500,000 in payroll to minimum wage workers. You don't know their value. You don't know if they're going to work. You don't know if they're going to have a food fight late at night. You don't know if they're going to be here today, gone tomorrow. $15 for that kind of unstable labor? Are you kidding me?
Absolutely. I worked almost 10 years and busted my humps to make what I'm making, and they're going to start out $2 an hour less than me and wonder if they're going to show up? I don't think so.
Amen. God bless you for your call, man. I appreciate it.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. I just am livid about this. These kids and these people at low-wage jobs, I can't come into work today. Why not? Well, I got a tummy ache. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Good morning. What happens when you raise the minimum wage? Then everything else goes up too. So you have not accomplished a thing. But in connection with the kids at the food fight and everything, I don't really appreciate going into a fast food place and watching the kids stand there chit-chatting with one another. One girl raising her shirt and scratching her back. She's going to be handling my food? I don't think so.
You know, you made a good point in the beginning of the conversation, one that I had talked a little bit about earlier this hour, but I want to go over this again. People don't realize that by raising the minimum wage, you're seeing an inflationary fire that is going to go into every other category of goods and services to the point where it's all going to be raised and you're not accomplishing anything. Ma'am, you hit the nail right on the head.
That's exactly the point.
God bless you.
I have not accomplished a thing.
Thank you so much for your call. Thank you very much. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning. I don't know about fast foods, but I have worked many a year in a regular restaurant, and if you get the minimum wage and you're a good server, your tips will make up the difference.
That's a good point, but
I don't remember whether it was Father's Day or one. You serve your customers good, and I made over $100 in tips. That makes a lot of difference in your minimum wage. It all depends on how good you are, and how good you serve your people makes the difference.
Absolutely. And I'll tell you what, I'm not going to be ever led down the primrose path of thinking that you can open the door to a business and tell these kids coming in for a job and their application and say, okay, here's $15 an hour, and these are the most unreliable, unproven members of the workforce. $15 an hour? Are you kidding me?
Well, I've worked with a bunch of girls, and some of them really earned it and others didn't. But your tips will make up the difference if you are a good server and give your people good service.
Thank you.
There's your difference.
Thank you very much for your call, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Thank you so much.
I will, you too.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you. Caller number 2, hold on. I'll be right with you. We've got to do a Michael Rogers weather forecast real quick. It'll only take a matter of seconds. Stand by. Mad River Laser at 700 South Oneida in Rupert is the place to go for all your awards, your trophies, and like if you're going to have a family reunion this summer, take a picture and have all the T-shirts or the sweatshirts, whatever. They can handle everything. They are so talented. Mad River Laser, 700 South Oneida in Rupert, 436-2293. Here's Michael Rogers weather right now.
Hello, everybody. Michael Rogers from MichaelRogersWeather.com. The dog days of summer continue in the Magic Valley. Sunny 92 for the high, 60 for the overnight low. It's going to be warmer tomorrow. In fact, it's going to be hot tomorrow. Hot tomorrow, a high of 96. Enjoy the weather. It's the only weather you got.
There you go, Michael. Brought to you this hour by Mad River Laser in Rupert. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Deb, if they pass that minimum wage deal and increase it, they're going to have a trickle-down effect. You got people that's making $15 an hour in their jobs now. They're going to look at that and think, well, I'm better than the minimum wage guy. I should be making more money, too.
Yeah.
So where's it all going to stop?
There you go. There you go. There is no stopping point. There is nothing to curb an inflationary fire that could absolutely send our economy and the value of our dollar down into the depths of hell. Honestly, that, I think, is going to happen, sir.
These people are asinine. It's just crazy. Thanks, Deb.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate it. I just I want to get back to the actual person, the employee. I mean, if I'm hiring and I need a burger flipper, I need somebody to clean off the tables at my fast food restaurant. $15 an hour? They show up the first day, the second day they don't show up, then all of a sudden they're just so unreliable. $15 an hour to an unreliable workforce? You got to be kidding me. Good morning, you're on the air.
How times change. 1950s, Eb.
Mm-hmm.
I lamb sheep for Laidlaws up here in Declo. $150 a month in my meals, and I work 12 hours a day.
How times have changed.
And I was so busy that they had to relieve me. I was picking the drop. That meant as the ewes would lamb, I would have to pick them up. I had a horse with the sleigh on it where I could pick up about 4 ewes at a time with their lambs. And I had to pick them up and take them to the sheds.
Yep.
And put them in separate pens, of course. And they had to relieve me to go to my meals.
Yep.
And that was hard work. But that was $150 a month in my meal.
Yeah, you know, I'm going to tell you something. Those were the days when people respected earning a wage like you. They respected having a job. And when you look at $2,400 a month, the unproven workforce, somebody that you have no idea if they're going to be here today, gone tomorrow, and guaranteeing them a $15 an hour wage, that is the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life.
It's crazy. It's crazy.
God bless you, Fred. God bless you. Thank you so much. Thank you.
You bet. Bye.
A dear friend of mine right there. I think the world of Fred Preston. Thank you. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning. I think that the reason why they want to raise the minimum wage again, it has nothing to do with minimum wage. It's all about devaluing the dollar.
Well, it is going to devalue the dollar. It's going to devalue the jobs. It's going to shrink the workforce because look at the people that are going to say, wait a minute, I can't afford this. I'll go back to a mom-and-pop operation, or I'll just, in other ways, close the doors. I'm not going to pay 8 people per hour $15 an hour or a monthly wage of $2,400 a month when my wife and I that own the company, we're not drawing anything like that. I'll close the doors.
Well, we saw that when they raised it to $7.50 an hour.
That's right.
That's exactly what happened. And what's happened with our dollar. Everything else has gone up in price. We have no more money. We don't earn anything. We don't buy anything new. Everything else is costing us more. Like I say, it has devalued the dollar. It's another way of inflationary devaluing the dollar. And
making more controls over the people.
I will say this, caller, and if you want to dispute this fact, go ahead, but then look up the facts. I'll go to Detroit, Michigan right now. Detroit, Michigan has been a democratically held city for years and years and years. And look at the status of Detroit right now with the union influence in that city destroying the fabric of incentive and progressiveness. It's dead, it's dying, and it's not going to come back.
And it's one of the highest crime areas that they have in the United States. I mean, it's not a pretty place, and most people are leaving that town.
That's what I'm saying.
It's not a good place to be, and that's what's going to be happening here. Look what's happened since they've started raising minimum wage. Look what's happened to the price of homes, price of vehicles, our groceries. We buy less because we have less money to spend because it costs more. The paper is worth less.
And you're going to see a complete devaluation of the system when you start giving minimum wage, low entry jobs, that kind of a monthly wage of $2,400 a month. Everything else will either drive itself completely out of existence or you won't see the jobs at all to begin with.
Exactly.
I got to run. Caller, good to hear from you. Thank you.
Thanks.
All right.
Bye-bye.
All right, bye-bye. Caller, go ahead. You're on the air.
Yeah, since I spoke to you earlier, I thought of some things. If you're paying your entry-level wages at $15 an hour, what about your manager?
Mm-hmm.
He's going to have more money.
Absolutely.
And it just goes on and on. And what a lot of people don't understand is when they increase the minimum wage, the only purpose of that is to increase the tax base.
That's right.
If you're getting $7 and something an hour now, it's going to be doubled, and you're going to pay twice as much tax as you do now if it doesn't put you in a higher bracket.
I just absolutely am astounded that people would support a $15 minimum wage, an hour minimum wage. Because then where is the incentive to ever get out of that particular wagon rut and pull yourself up by your bootstraps to maybe become a licensed plumber, maybe become an electrician, maybe become a school teacher, maybe become a business owner? Where's the incentive when you give people a minimum wage that absolutely is horrendous and will break that respective business?
Yeah, it's just a never-ending thing, and when they went to $7.25 or whatever it is an hour, that hurts me because I like to hire some young man that's in high school or girl, whichever, to wash cars.
Absolutely.
At $15 an hour, you know what? I'll take them down to the car wash.
There you go. Yeah, you'd be better off.
It cost me $5.
That's exactly. You'd be better off. You'd have money in your pocket, and you wouldn't have to worry about somebody showing up for work or quitting in the middle of a shift. No, you'd be 100% better off. Keith, I got to do a commercial, man. Thanks so much. Appreciate it.
Bye.
Don't forget the Jerome County Fair. It's next week, August 6th through the 11th, and they've got a whole bunch of ripping good things going on over at the Jerome County Fair. Say cheese! That's the theme for this year. And don't forget next Tuesday, August 6th, really the kickoff. They're going to have a 4-H horse show, and they're going to have their dairy show, and they're going to have pig wrestling in the Depew Arena at 7 o'clock on next Tuesday, August 6th. That should be a fun event at the Jerome County Fair. Don't miss it over in Jerome. Lots of fun at the Jerome County Fair. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Yeah, if they pay that $15 an hour, I'm not going to pay $20 for a hamburger. So business is going to start to decline.
Absolutely.
And then you're not going to have people moving out of that job so that the new students and people coming up have a job to work at.
You know,
it's hard enough for them to get a job now.
Stop right there, because you made a very good point that hasn't been said yet. People in that kind of a job that just want to stay in a sedentary position in life at $15 an hour, they're not going to try to pull themselves up. They're not going to try to better themselves. And a recurring workforce is not going to be able to find a job. You said that very well. Thank you.
You're welcome.
God bless you for your call this morning. The gentleman's right. We've got people looking for jobs. The low-entry minimum wage jobs are not a life work job. My goodness, what do you want to be when you grow up, Johnny? I want to flip hamburgers for $15 an hour. That's all I want to do there, Goober. Oh, please. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Yeah, and a lot of the companies know that the job situation's so they won't give promotions or pay raises to employees that have been with them for years, are dedicated workers. And then because of affirmative action, if you're a white male, they'll promote about anything above white males in some companies. That's still going on. But the comment I really wanted to make today was about Pope Francis' comment about the gay priest. That was very, very disappointing.
Well, Adrian, please understand, I want to stay on subject here this morning if I can, and I'm going to talk about that tomorrow. I'm not trying to be rude at all, but I'm talking about minimum wage this morning. I'm going to stay there till the end of this hour, but what Pope Francis had said was wrong.
The problem is the employees know, I have a relative that's, been working for a company for 23 years, and they're to leave the job, but there's no other jobs available in that area that would pay what he's getting, and yet he's not getting paid what he's worth, and the company knows it.
Yeah.
And so it's just, it's frustrating for people that are dedicated workers. The employers are realizing that they can get cheap labor. You've got the guy that's the head of Melaleuca up there. He's pushing for this amnesty thing for one reason: cheap labor.
Yeah.
And that's we need to really get onto those people. And all these big corporations are all looking for importing cheap labor so they can keep the bottom line up. I'm wondering who's going to buy their products when there's nobody.
But when we're talking about a fast food restaurant owned by a mom and a dad, maybe a family, there's no way in the world they can justify a payroll for 2 8-hour shifts of $40,000 a month. I got to run, Adrian. God bless you for your call. I appreciate it. Thank you.
I agree with you.
Thank you.
Have a good day. Bye.
Don't forget our friends at our Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, the best in tires. Now, I don't care if you drive every day, long distance. I don't care if you just maybe run to the grocery store. They have all the tires for your type of driving. Safe driving, safe tires from your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, along with the best in brake service, the very best in brake service. Shocks and struts, front end alignments, batteries, it's all there. But you know something? It's the people. It's the people that make up your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, and they're the best. Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike and Buell, Mike and Jerome, the Twist family in Paul, Lane and Rupert, John on Poline in Twin Falls, and Randy right there on Overland and Burley. The best. Your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Good discussion this morning, and I appreciate all your calls, all of your calls. I thank you very much. I just wished I had more time to discuss this because I had some other subjects I wanted to get into also. But this minimum wage being back pushed and coerced by the SEIU union absolutely is stupid and will be a break-the-bank type situation for many, many low-level entry jobs and employers. It will be devastating if it goes through. We're going to take a quick break. Be back in about 6 minutes. Don't go away. Zeb at the Ranch. Oh, I had a chance to sit down and relax and watch the birds outside the window. Oh, I feel so much better. Good morning. Hour number 2 is Zeb at the Ranch, brought to you by our big sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. All 7 locations serving you and serving you very well, along with some of our great advertisers, and they are Lee's Furniture, Floors and More. There's an L in there, Zeb, Floors and More, at 459 Overland and Burley, and our friends at Western Waste Services.
From the canyons of the Snake River and all across southern Idaho, we're always at your disposal. Western Waste Services, we care about our community, our resources, and this great land. Western Waste Services is lending a hand, always at your disposal.
let's see, we're going to have a family reunion this summer. Yes, sir, we're going to have the tables and the chairs, and we got the tents, and let's see, we've got the potato salad and the fried Oh, you know what we forgot? We forgot the porta potties. Well, my goodness sakes, they've got summer rental of restrooms, standalone hand wash stations, everything ready for you, for your company parties, picnics, whatever, right there at Western Waste Services. Always at your disposal. Give them a call today at 734-6969. That number again, 734-6969. Western Waste Services, always at your disposal. Also, real fast, I want to also acknowledge we are blessed on this program with the best in advertisers, and that includes Hanson Mortuary with our dear friend Joel Heward. What a nice, nice person. The new owner and manager of Hanson Mortuary, 710 6th Street in Rupert. Number to call, 436-5636. And when there's the passing of a loved one, during such a difficult time, they want to meet your expectations and to exceed your expectations. They are absolutely upholding the highest ethical standards with unquestioned integrity of serving you. Please contact them today and get the information on pre-planning of funerals to help alleviate a lot of the stress and the worry for the family. Hanson Mortuary, 710 6th Street in Rupert, 436-5636. I am going to check over with my lovely cohort in crime this morning and check with, she's just sending me another message, and I like that. Short and sweet and to the point. It says, got him! All right. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to go to the phone lines real quick, and we're going to say good morning to United States Senator from Idaho, Mr. Jim Risch. Good morning, Senator. How are you?
Good morning, Zeb. How are you?
Not too bad. Here it is, midsummer already, and you're back in the land of the Potomac, and you're fighting for us. What's going on in your world this morning that we should be aware of, Jim?
Well, Zeb, right now, it's kind of in the weeds that most people don't pay attention to, but we're going through nominations that the president has made to various agencies and what have you, and we'll be spending most of the time on this week. But as we move towards the fall, everyone should keep their eye on the fight that's going to develop here over what's called a continuing resolution. A continuing resolution is a bad way of doing business, but it's what has developed in Washington, D.C. in lieu of a budget and appropriation bills. Because of the gridlock back here, they don't do a budget and they don't do appropriation bills. I know it's hard to believe that an entity that spends $3.8 trillion every year does so without a budget and without specifically appropriating to the various agencies that get that money. Instead, what they do is they do what's called a continuing resolution, which the effect of which is, oh, go ahead, just keep spending money. And but it doesn't, hopefully, and the fight always is that it doesn't increase, so that we've had pretty much a freeze over the last couple of few years as continuing resolutions have been passed. Neither Senator Cripp or I vote for those, and it's just the way they're doing business here. But there's going to be a very substantial fight brewing as we head into the fall. You've heard me preach over and over again how badly the federal government needs to cut its spending. The first 4 years I was here, well, I've been here 4.5, but the first 4 years that I was here, they borrowed about 40 cents out of every dollar that they spent. Now, let me say that again. They borrowed 40 cents out of every dollar that they spend. Now, this isn't printing money. I mean, this is for real borrowing. I went and watched them do it. They borrow from China, they borrow from other countries, they borrow from banks, but it's for real spending. They spend about $11 billion a day, and so that tells you that they're borrowing over $4 billion a day in order to pay their bills.
Jim,
the cuts have got to be. Everybody here agrees, whether they're liberals or conservatives or what have you. Everybody, well, almost everybody agrees this can't go on. The national debt's gone from $10 trillion to $17 trillion while I've been here, and virtually everyone agrees that we're going to wind up in the exact same position as Greece did. Our numbers are different. Our credit cards just larger. That's all.
Absolutely.
Everyone agrees that it can't go on. They recall the sequester, the term sequester. What the sequester was a cut, actually not a cut of spending, but a cut of the growth of about 2.4%. And you think it was the end of the world when they talked about the sequester. Everything's been, since George Bush is gone, they used to blame everything on him. Now they blame it all on the sequester. And that's 2.4%. Now remember I told you, they're spending 40% more than they're taking in. So there are major cuts coming at some point in time. And probably I've talked on long enough and ought to take another question.
Well, I'll tell you what I'd like to ask you about, Senator, and it goes in accordance with what you just said. I did a little research starting from last week into yesterday, and I found out that this next month of August, Obama is going to deliver special speeches on various special topics that he wants to change or force legislation on, and they are gun control, climate change, immigration, but not one of those special speeches, Jim, is going to center on the economy. He's leaving that one entirely alone.
Yeah. Well, and that's really unfortunate that he's not focused on that, because that is the problem today in America. You know, we actually here in Congress talked about it didn't do anything about it, but talked about it for the last couple of years. We actually had people engaged in how are we when the end comes, how are we going to get out of this mess? We had people focused on it. Well, then the first of the year came along, and they pivoted first to guns after the Sandy Hook thing, and we spent about a month or 6 weeks talking about that, and nothing happened, obviously. Then the next thing that we pivoted to, I shouldn't say we, this is Harry Reid. He's in charge of what we actually vote on the floor. Onto an immigration bill. And there's no doubt that the immigration issue is an important issue, and it really calls out for some reform that would be fairer across the board. But a bill passed in the Senate that can't possibly pass in the House. And so here we are halfway through the year and really have not addressed what is the primary issue, and that is the financial condition of the country, which is very poor and deteriorating every day.
Absolutely. Now, Senator, let me ask you this, and we've known each other for quite some time. It seems like we've got over 47 million people right now that are using and utilizing food stamps. And AARP right now...
Let me stop you right there. I don't know where you got the number from, but that number is incorrect. It is now over 100 million people. That is a third of the country are receiving food stamps. It was $40 billion when I got here 4.5 years ago. Today it's $80 billion. So I know where you're heading with this, and I'm going to cut you loose here to go ahead. But it's much worse than what most people know.
Now you really got me scared, because here we have AARP pushing seniors to get on the dole with the food stamps. Jim, literally, this country is becoming dependent on the government, and they're buying those votes for the Democratic Party. Would you agree?
Yeah. I do agree, and there is a group here that pushes people. They want people dependent upon the government. They want people dependent upon them, which is exactly 180 degrees from what the Founding Fathers wanted. The Founding Fathers wanted a very small, restrained central government, and they wanted self-sufficiency and people to take care of themselves. Now, having said all that, there are people in this country that need help. There are people that need a helping hand, but it isn't a third of the population that needs that. I have been a big supporter of the food stamp program for people who can't take care of themselves. But that's the problem back here. As soon as the camel gets its nose in the tent, after the program was established to provide food for people who can't care for themselves, it just exploded by liberals using it to create another social benefits program and help to try to redistribute wealth from those who have it to those who haven't. And that's just one program of many hundreds, if not thousands, of programs back here that do the same thing.
Jim, Obamacare is absolutely a train wreck. Every day we hear somebody else wanting to opt out of the program. Now the IRS wants to get out of the program, and they want to have their own private funding for insurance, but yet they're going to dictate to us and enforce to us, the American public. What are your thoughts?
Well, let me tell you something even worse. First of all, you're absolutely right. That thing is a disaster, and it's going to continue to be as long as it's on the books. I'm a co-sponsor of the attempts to repeal it. I didn't vote for it in the first place. I think it's simply socialism, and that's what the other side wants, the people who are promoting it. But let me tell you something that doesn't get reported in the press. This bill was passed on a straight party line vote. Not one Republican in either house voted for it. Not one Democrat voted against it. Who was it written by? It was written by the staff of the various committees that have jurisdiction over different aspects of the bill. Let me tell you what those staffs did. They put everybody under Obamacare, including the senators and representatives, which is only fair. If it's going to be visited on the American people, it ought to be visited on the elected representatives, plus our staff, but they exempted themselves. The committees who worked on this exempted the committee staff from being under Obamacare, and they exempted the White House staff from being under Obamacare. That's criminal. I mean, people should be held to account for that. It's just absolutely disgusting how they'll do that and then exempt themselves from it. It's amazing. It's truly amazing.
Final thought here this morning, Senator, before I let you go. The Middle East, again, is a bigger tinderbox with the Muslim Brotherhood and the anarchy that's going on in Egypt. What are your thoughts about all these countries in the Middle East now looking at Egypt possibly blowing up with this role with the Muslim Brotherhood?
Well, this is a conversation that could go on for hours. I mean, whether you want to start and talk about Algeria, Tunisia, Morocco, Egypt, Libya, Syria, Jordan, every one of them, we could spend, and each one is unique, has its own unique problems. We have some friends in the Middle East, but they are very, very few. We do our best to try to keep a lid on the box there, because most Americans are willing to look the other way on it. The problem is, as long as we're using oil at the rate that we're using it, we have a deep national interest in seeing that the region stays as calm as possible under the circumstances. So we watch this every day. We work with it every day. It's a difficult proposition, to say the least. It's been going on for centuries there, and will probably go on into the future. We're getting better at importing less oil than what we are with the fracking that we're using here and the shale discoveries that we've made here in North America. Into the future, I think we're going to be able to reduce our dependence on Mideast oil. And the more we reduce our dependence, of course, the less national interest we'll have there, which is a good thing, not a bad thing, because some of these things are never going to be resolved in our lifetime, and all you can do is work with them as best you can. There are no good solutions. There's just working with it as best you can in the circumstances.
Final thought, Senator, is there anything being done further on the possible release of the pastor from Boise, Pastor Abedini? Is there any work with the Iranian government to get him out of prison?
Well, first of all, as you know, we do not have diplomatic relations with the Iranian government. However, having said that, I'm sure it comes as no surprise to people that there are always back channels that are being used for this, usually through intermediary countries, and that has been going on. It continues to go on. The difficulty, of course, is that we have huge problems with Iran, not the least of which is the development of a nuclear weapon. They continue to pursue that. Although they deny it, the evidence is clear that they do continue to pursue it. And as long as they do, it is probably the largest threat to the tranquility of such as it is in the Middle East. Because if they get close, I have no doubt that Israel is going to pull the trigger, because they have taken an oath that they will not let them complete the construction of a nuclear weapon. So what we have done is, of course, we've put in place a number of economic sanctions and other sanctions against the country. We will continue to do that. As a result of all that, Pastor Abedini, of course, is in jail over there for doing nothing more than promoting Christianity, which is so foreign to us here. But it's against the law to do that in Iran, and as a result of that, he's run up in prison. We are continuing to bring as much pressure as we can through the back channels to get him released. Frankly, we've had mixed results. As you know, they caught the 3 hikers over there, put them in prison, and they spent some time over there, but eventually got out. I suspect that's where we're going to head with Pastor Abedini, but it's a difficult haul.
Absolutely. United States Senator from Idaho, Mr. Jim Risch. God bless you, sir, and thank you for taking the time to come on our program. We really appreciated the information.
Thanks so much, and thanks for your support. We'll keep on fighting the fight.
All right, Jim. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. United States Senator Jim Risch on our program, and we appreciate all the people in his office that help line this up. I know that they're very busy at this particular time, and thank you. Thank you very much. Calls are welcome. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Don't forget Idaho Lending Group, 1182 Eastland Drive North in Twin Falls. Number to remember, 734-5626. You know, they save me money, and you heard me bragging about them many, many times on my program. We went for a refinance on our mortgage, and Scott Martin and his crew really, really helped me. They can help you, too. And as a borrower, take the time to fully understand all of your loan options that can save you significant amounts of money over the life of your loan. Very caring, courteous, and knowledgeable people. NMLS number 181777, Equal Opportunity Lender, Idaho Lending Group, 1182 Eastland Drive North in Twin Falls. Oh my, let's see. Oh, and don't forget, the Cassia County Fair and Rodeo is right around the corner, and I think what I want to tell you about this morning is that they hit a home run this year when they have made a contract to have as their entertainer for Tuesday, August 13th, one of the best country music stars. I like this guy. He's got some great, great songs. Aaron Tippin. Oh, baby, this is going to be a good concert. And tickets are on sale now. Call the Cassia County Fair office at 678-9150, or you can stop in person right there to the office at the fair, 1101 Elba Avenue in Burley. And, boy, I'm telling you what, tickets are also available at Taco Bandito in Burley. You stop over and get your tickets for Aaron Tippin concert. Oh, boy, that's going to be good. It's going to be Tuesday, August 13th at the Cassia County Fair. All right, give me a call. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I'd like to hear what you have to say this morning, so give us a jingle on the landline. Dave didn't call last hour. The summer series for the team roping at the Jerome County Fairgrounds is going to be tomorrow night. They're going to start, enter at 6:30, rope at 7, a 3-for-20 draw pot, enter up to 5 times. And then on Sunday, they're going to have what they call their fair roping. It's going to be this Sunday, August 4th. Sign up at 5, rope at 6, and it will be a 3-for-20, number 11, handicapped at a number 6+ healer, and the top 15 teams from that roping will go and compete at the Jerome County Fair and Rodeo, so don't forget that. And I also want to take a little time right now to remind you that these guys that go door to door trying to sell Dish or DirecTV, watch out for these guys. We had one that was like a little bandy rooster, and he was one of these little know-it-all guys that just want to throw him right out the front door. Well, they'll get into your house and then try to tell you that they can switch you to another service. Standby caller, I'll be right there. And they may even say they're associated with Quali's Electronics. I know the folks at Quali's, and they stand on their own. They will help you with Dish or DirecTV. They can help you and install it and provide the local service and support to ensure your satisfaction. You call them today at 733-4910 or go to Quali's Electronics, 1730 Kimberly Road in Twin Falls. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Good morning. I just wanted to mention that the Spencer Zone, or the used to be the Standards, are being sponsored by by PMT over at the fairgrounds in Rupert. They're the ones that sings Idaho Loves.
Yes.
They're going to be playing over there tonight, and it's a free concert.
Oh, that's a lot of good music, isn't it?
That's a lot of good music.
Well, then you'd better get over there and get a front row seat and get ready to have a good time. Okay.
But they are really, really good. And they're from Twin Falls.
Absolutely.
And now they're in Nashville, but they put on a wonderful show.
All right, Lorna, thank you so much for your call. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Uh-huh.
All righty. Caller, I'll be right there. Don't go away. A warehouse blowout at Lee's Furniture, Floors and More at 459 Overland in Burley. No money down, no payment until 2014 on approved credit. Wow. You can save up to 70% on odds and ends and closeout items, and they got all the double reclining sectionals and the recliners and the sofas and all the carpet and the hardwood flooring. What are you waiting for? Get in there to where you can work with the pros that can serve you in beautifying your home. Absolutely. Lee's Furniture, Floors and More. 459 Overland in Burley. You stop in and see those wonderful people today. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Yeah, Zeb, I'm back. I listened to Jim Rich. My hat's off to that guy. He's got a lifetime record of 87% conservative, his voting record.
Well,
so he's doing a great job back there, Zeb.
I think so too, and Jim's been really hard to get a hold of and have on our program, and so I canceled everything I had scheduled for this half hour just to work him in this morning, and I certainly appreciate his effort.
Well, I'll tell you, he's doing a great job. I follow him pretty close, and like I say, his lifetime record is 87%, and that's right up there at the top.
Absolutely. Well, Fred, I tell you what, I've always said that we've had some of the best representing us right here from this gem state of Idaho, and I consider Jim to be one of those. Fred, thank you very much for your call, as always. Thank you.
Well, we've got some of the worst, too.
Gee, I wonder who you're talking about. Okay, Fred, thanks much, my friend. Okay, take care.
Okay.
All right. Hey,
I'll see you later.
Thank you, sir. Before I get Ryan Morrow on the air this morning, I want to remind everybody about where the fun is sold. I can give you the place. I can give you the location. It's Let's Ride, where the fun is sold. Highway 24 between Rupert and Burley. Oh, yeah, man, I'm telling you what, they got the 2014 models showing up daily, and they've got the brand new, oh, this is ripping good. They've got the Can-Am Maverick Max 4-seater in there. Oh, take a look and check that out. They've got all the watercraft that's going to be hot for the rest of the summer. You might as well enjoy the lakes and the rivers. All the watercraft, everything, all the ATVs right there at Let's Ride, where the fun is sold. Highway 24 between Rupert and Burley. You stop in and see those good folks today. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm blessed to have this man on my program many, many, many times. He is the National Security Analyst for the ClarionProject.org, Mr. Ryan Morrow. Good morning, sir. How are you?
Good morning. I'm doing very well.
Ryan, it's always a pleasure to have you on the air, and I got to profess to you also, it's a little scary because there's things going on behind the scenes that a lot of us out here in the hinterland aren't aware of. There's a lot of scary and sinister things going on in the world of news. I was reading your cheat sheet this morning about the U.S. Imam saying that our Constitution is inferior to Sharia law. And I thought, you've got to tell me more about that.
Rather than going to the mosque on Fridays and praying or a personal code of conduct as most Muslims do. So there is a difference there. But the Obama administration has gambled on the Muslim Brotherhood horse. If you look at the comments coming from Obama administration officials, it's clear that our strategy was based upon the premise that we could embrace the Muslim Brotherhood as a counterterrorism partner, as an ally for the sake of democracy, as an ally to transform the Middle East and the Islamic world. And that strategy is collapsing before our very eyes right now, and we have to be very thankful to the millions of Egyptians, the majority of which were Muslims, who protested and demanded that the Egyptian military remove the Muslim Brotherhood from its position of power in Egypt. That was done at the insistence of Muslims. And so you're seeing the second phase of the Arab Spring now, where in the first phase you had the more secular dictators fall, and then you had the Islamists come to power through the ballot box. But now you have the second phase where the people are turning against those Islamists that they originally voted into power.
Ryan, tell us about one of the other stories that you had on your sheets this morning was about the Iranian government. A front group has funded over 60 Islamic sites in the United States, including a lot of our major universities. Tell us about that story.
Right, this is a really fascinating investigation that we did. The U.S. government has raided the offices of a group called the Alavi Foundation in New York, and that's because it's linked to Iran's nuclear program, nuclear weapons program, we should say, and the Iranian regime. It is an Iranian regime front. And so this nonprofit organization, their goal is not just to raise money for the Iranian regime, it's also to spread pro-Iran propaganda around the country. So when they distribute money, it's with a purpose. And we went through their tax filings and the tax papers that are still publicly available on their website, and we simply cataloged where all the money was going to. And what we found is just thousands and thousands of dollars being given to, as you said, over 60 Islamic centers and mosques and schools around the United States coming from this Iranian regime front, as well as major universities such as Rutgers University, and specifically professors that have touted a line that's favorable to Iran, Hamas, and Hezbollah. So there are major influence operations going on in the United States at the hands of the Saudis, the Qataris, the Muslim Brotherhood, Iran. Most recently, we did an article about Pakistani influence operations. And so this is a very massive effort, an international effort, to influence American public opinion and therefore American policy.
You know, when you look at these stories every day, and you study these, Ryan, and I respect your overview on everything, but how concerned are you for America as we see a degeneration away from our values, our Constitution, and possible acceptance of these foreign thoughts and these foreign powers?
I'm very concerned because you can see incrementally the United States being influenced by this, whether it's hostility to Israel or whether it's a belief in multiculturalism, or I would say moral relativism, or that the U.S. is the source of all the problems. All of that is the product of not just people on the left and the right wing having those beliefs, it's also the product of foreign governments making those claims and pushing those claims. And so there's this slow drift happening in terms of how Americans see the world and see our role in the world, and that really does concern me. And as for a negative trend that I'm seeing that's very concerning is when you look at the polls of the Muslim American community, it is true that the vast majority are moderate. It's one of the most moderate Muslim communities in the world. But the levels of extremism are higher among the younger crowd. And so what happens when that younger crowd grows old and then they have kids? And so that's a trend that I'm very concerned about this level of extremism increasing.
You know, Ryan, I don't know if you're aware of this story or not, but it's been almost a year now that Dr. Saeed Abedini from Boise, Idaho, went to Iran to help establish an orphanage, and he was arrested and thrown in the prison in Iran. I think it's the Ivan prison, and they don't know if he's going to live, if he's going to die. They're going to hang him, turn him loose. They don't know. What power do we have to try to get this man out? He's been in prison, he's been physically abused and tortured, and the Iranians basically are not doing anything, or our government is not doing anything to try to meet and get this man released.
There's actually a lot of levers that we can pull. There's still companies and industries within Iran that we can sanction. We can support the Iranian opposition, which again is majority Muslim but opposes the regime, which is a step that I've long called for years and years, as have the majority of Iranians, but to no avail. The U.S. can even engage in political pressure, and that's often forgotten how powerful that can be. Having the international microscope and camera on what Iran is doing or what any tyrannical government is doing can be very powerful. So I'll give you the example of an Iranian woman that was going to be stoned to death, and eventually the story went viral, resulted in international pressure, and the Iranians backed down from doing that. So we do have the ability to influence the human rights policies of these governments, and especially their national security policies, which threaten us, if we engage in this sort of soft power. It doesn't always have to be about military strikes. We just have to creatively use soft power. And a big part of the problem is going to be education. And that's why the Clarion Project has issued and released these major documentaries such as Obsession, which, as I've offered to your audience before, we're going to offer it again. If you go to getobsession.com, that's our first documentary about radical Islam around the world, very eye-opening. You go to getobsession.com, and with the magic word of bell, to show that you listen today, that you can get it for free. Just pay for shipping, and you'll get it mailed to your house.
You know, I'm kind of curious, Ryan. You've been on the program numerous times, and I've watched you on television and everything. But as a security analyst, you have to eat, sleep, drink, and breathe your job 24/7. Give us a quick synopsis of what it's like to be Ryan Morrow every day, getting out of bed and saying, boy, we got to check this hotspot, or we got to follow up on this. There's an endless supply of worry, isn't there?
There's an endless supply of worry, but there is also a lot of reason for hope. And that's because I am contacted by Muslims that stand against this level of extremism, and they appreciate the work that we're doing. There are positive trends overseas, whether it's the revolution in Egypt against the Muslim Brotherhood, or it's the protests in Turkey against the ruling Islamists. So there are some positive things that I can use to not get completely depressed when I look at what's going on around the world. So there are some positive trends. As for the sheer volume of the tasks at hand, it's definitely a balancing act for me as a person, because I have a life to live, and it's very easy to get caught up in this, and there's an endless supply of articles and things that I want to write about and things that I want to expose. And so it's very easy to get caught up in it, and that's why I've had friends unexpectedly show up at my house and demand that I leave the house and come out.
Oh, okay, I see. Ryan, one final thought here. When we look at the problems going on in the world today, what would you tell my audience and other audiences around the country as far as how can they get involved, why they should get involved, and what they need to be wary of that's going on right here in this United States?
Well, it first starts with networking and education, and then from there we can get involved in some more concrete, specific action related to your area. But I would say the first step is to get the DVD at getobsession.com. Again, it's free if you use the word bell. And sign up for our newsletter at clarionproject.org. And consider doing a screening of one of our films, perhaps Obsession, or a speaking engagement with me at your church or your synagogue or your library or any type of venue that you can think of. The point is that we have to get these materials out. We've put it in very gripping form, but we need you out there to really distribute it and to show it to people. And I'm confident that once you show it to people, that the ball will just start naturally rolling.
I'm going to get a copy today, and I appreciate that so much. Ryan Morrow, the National Security Analyst for the ClarionProject.org. Ryan, you are always welcome. Thank you, sir, for your time this morning. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Very interesting. And you know that story that I had on with Ryan just a few minutes ago about Brevard County, Florida. Parents weren't even looking at what their kids had in the textbooks. 30 pages of this textbook that the kids were studying in the 9th grade was all about the praise to Islam. And they were actually denigrating Jesus Christ and promoting Muhammad in this book. And they never said one positive word about Christianity or Judaism in that textbook. And the kids were coming home from school, and one girl said to her mom, hey, how come we go to this church but they're pushing this one? And then the parents got involved. Caller, I know you're waiting. Please, I ask your patience for just a moment. We've got a weather update right now with MichaelRogersWeather.com, and then I'll take your call. Stand by. Good morning. You're on the air. Michael, what's the weather going to be?
Hello, everybody. Michael Rogers from MichaelRogersWeather.com. The dog days of summer continue in the Magic Valley. Sunny 92 for the high, 60 for the overnight low. It's going to be warmer tomorrow. In fact, it's going to be hot tomorrow. Hot tomorrow, a high of 96. Enjoy the weather. It's the only weather you got.
There you go, MichaelRogersWeather.com. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
You know, I should have called sooner, but he was telling where he would speak at churches and other places. So I called as soon as I could, but he was gone. But I would like to know if he ever goes into Canada and speaks at churches, because in Canada, as fiscally responsible as they are, and as you know, they are very socially intolerant, and you know, it's just it's a different situation up there socially, especially speaking at churches about politics.
As a matter of fact, I can get Ryan back on the air. We can ask him those questions the next time he'll be on, hopefully. And next week we've got him scheduled again to come back. He is a very, very sharp and articulate young man. I've seen him on Fox and Friends. I've seen him on other news shows, and his knowledge on security, or the lack of, is very valid. And I appreciate him being on my show.
Now, he talks about coming and traveling. I mean, what do we got to do to get him here to speak to us?
Well, I tell you what,
Is it expensive, or?
you can go to the website, and Randy, after the program, if you call me, I'll give you the website, and he has an itinerary schedule and also how to contact him and make overtures to try to have him come into the area. It's all on the website.
Hey, have you ever asked him when Simpson accused, Michelle, Bachman?
Yes.
Did he? What was his response to that, or did you ask him?
I did ask him that, and his response was he thought that Mike Simpson should apologize to Michelle Bachman.
Yeah, let's hope we can get rid of Simpson. Okay, thanks,
all right. Thanks, buddy. All right, don't forget, for all your life insurance, health insurance, retirement planning, and employee benefits, think about two gentlemen that are serving you on Highway 24 right there in Rupert, Cameron and Siemens Insurance. The telephone number to call, 436-4424. These gentlemen, Dean and Todd, very accessible, very devoted to serving others, and focused on your successful future. Please call them today, Cameron and Siemens Insurance, 436-4424. All right, calls are welcome and appreciated. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. What's on the menu for the Golden Heritage Senior Center today? Chicken salad sandwiches. What else are they going to have today? Oh, and bingo tonight. Isn't bingo tonight? Yeah, it's Tuesday night bingo at the Golden Heritage Senior Center. There, we got that taken care of. And we had our weather update. Man, we're just right up to par. Give us a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Like to hear what you have to say. We didn't involve, she was answering the phones and getting everything ready to go. Gina, on the last hour, I was just a little curious. Did you agree or disagree with my stand on $15 an hour minimum wage?
I agree with you, and it's kind of a double-edged sword, because as we were talking, or as you guys were talking, if you put, fast food industry, if it goes up to $15 an hour, so gone are the days of the dollar value menu. Mm-hmm. I mean, really. And basically, you cannot go to a fast food place and get food fast and have it be affordable. Secondly, I think that it would do more harm than good to the workers, because, employers could go completely automated. I've seen it done in fast food restaurants.
Well, and stop right there, because I want to go back. Gina, if you get a chance, go to the USA Today online, and on page 7A in the first section is a complete full-page ad showing the robotization of fast food restaurants in having the touchscreen ordering and payment devices and eliminating the jobs of human beings.
Just like, as you said, look at Detroit and look at the automotive industry.
Yeah.
I mean, that is a good case in point. And finally, I think that if they do this, yes, it is going to devalue the dollar. If you want to have the dollar be worth more, then first and foremost, get us back on the gold standard.
But, Gina, the gentleman that called in from the fire department, I'm assuming he called from the fire department, and God bless him. When you look at a rolling thunder of having a minimum wage doubled to $15 an hour, that means that everything is going to have to go in accordance with that rolling thunder of that doubling of the minimum wage, and you've got an inflationary fire that is going to eat up the economy and send America over the depths.
Boy, howdy, and you are not even joking about that, and that is scary. We can't afford that. We need to have the dollar actually worth something, and it's not worth anything right now. That's why I'm a big proponent that they need to put the dollar back on the gold standard, and so everything would kind of level out, and then everything wouldn't be quite so cost absorbent.
Well, and the other thing I wanted you to comment on a little bit, because you're younger than I am, and I respect your opinion on a lot of things that maybe my age has got me jaded in my viewpoint. But, let's just assume right now that you own or manage one of the fast food restaurants in this area, okay? And you've got 2 shifts for your fast food restaurant, 8 people per shift. And if it goes to a minimum wage of $15 an hour per employee, you're going to have to, on a monthly basis, figure out a payroll of $40,000 a month to people that are untrained workers that might be here today, gone tomorrow. They might be having food fights late at night. They're very irresponsible at that young age. What kind of employment is that?
Well, this is what I would have to do if I was a manager of a fast food place. First and foremost, I would have to take a look at the gross income of the month, as actual working budgetary. And then I would have to figure out, okay, which employees am I going to have to work because I only have this amount of money to work with.
Yep.
And if this is going to be my payroll, well, I am going to have to scale back payroll just so I can make my monthly.
Yeah, but you just said scale back, and there again, with the increase of money on a minimum wage, you're cutting back jobs.
Exactly. Now, we've got 2 phone calls. We've got Rotten on line 1 and Adrian on line 2.
All right. Caller number 1, Dal, how are you this morning, sir? Go ahead.
I'm Rotten.
Okay, buddy.
We had both missed when you were talking to Senator Risch. Did you ask him about Russians on our soil?
I didn't get to that this morning, and I apologize. I just had a certain amount of time and subjects, Dal, but I have gone a step further, and I've left word with Suzanne at his office that I want a personal call back on that, and as soon as I get an answer from him personally, I'll let you know.
Okay, we appreciate it.
All right, sir, thanks. Appreciate it. Go ahead, Adrian, you're on the air. I've only got 2 minutes left.
Well, I tell you, when we passed the NAFTA agreement, that really put a bite into our workforce because, we're exporting all of this stuff, and then the World Trade Organization with China, when that came online, I mean, the number of jobs that have gone overseas and our trade imbalance is up to $500 billion, and most of that's with China. That has just devastated the American worker. And now all the companies are doing everything they can to scramble to try and make it, but the international companies are just going overseas and forgetting about the U.S. That's the problem.
Well,
and now we're negotiating with the EU to combine with them, along with every other trade agreement, and we always get the short end of the deal.
Absolutely, and real quick answer to this, because I'm out of time, Adrian, but now look at the situation if you were an employer today and had a fast food restaurant or something else that hires the low-skilled workers, $15 an hour, it will break you. Do you agree or disagree?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, and every time we have a minimum wage increase, more people are put out of work, especially entry-level, high school-type jobs. Those are the ones that are hurt the worst by raising the minimum wage.
Absolutely.
If you look at history, that's exactly what's happened, and it'll happen again.
Absolutely. Adrian, thanks. I got to run, man. Appreciate your call. Thank you.
Yeah.
Coming up next hour, we've got one of our favorite segments. I get more calls and more letters about Dr. History and some of the great, great stories that he has, and we really appreciate Ken Turner, Dr. Ken Turner, known as Dr. History. And then at 10:30 this morning, I'm very honored. My dear friend Doug Johnson out of Colorado recommended that I get a hold of former TV news anchor and talk show host on the East Coast in North Carolina, Vince Coakley. And I'll tell you right up front, he's very conservative. He is very much in favor of the American ideal and the Constitution, and he is also a black man that agrees with our principles that Obama is way off base. We'll be talking to him at 10:30 this morning. And while I get a chance, I want to remind you, too, that thanks to Gina, thanks to Deanne, everything rolls smoothly on this program. And a reminder, the 4th annual Ride 'em, Race 'em, and Run 'em is going to be up at Magic Mountain Ski Area this Saturday, August 3rd. Don't forget that. It's going to be a lot of fun, and they're going to also have entertainment by the group called Crossfire. A lot of fun. We'll take a break. Be back in 6. Don't go away. Oh, goody. Hour number 3, Zeb at the Ranch. I'm Zeb Bell, and our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 great locations serving you, along with some of our great advertisers, Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More at 459 Overland in Burley, and our friends, always at your disposal, Western Waste Services. Get on the route service. Get rid of your garbage. Call them at 734-6969. And before we introduce our next segment, I want to remind you, too, about the Chadwick Sports Grill, 139 West Main in Burley. Oh, my, have they got good food over there. And they've got a luncheon special. They've got a senior citizen dinner special Monday through Thursday from 4 to 6 p.m. for only $5.95. $5.95? Holy buckets, that's very, very reasonable. And today, Tuesday, July 30th, they're going to have spaghetti with meatballs, garlic toast, soup, or salad. And coming up this next Saturday, August 3rd, they're going to have live music with Vern Willard at 8:30 p.m. at the Chadwick Sports Grill, 139 West Main in Burley. Really, really nice people. It is time now for Dr. History, brought to you by the new CSI Sage Truck Driving School in Burley, 878-5802. With my friend Lucky Bourne, yes, you can become a professional truck driver. And now, without further ado, stepping on stage with a gray suit and red tie, here he is, Dr. History.
Good morning, Zeb. How you doing?
Not too shabby, my dear friend. What's cooking?
Well, not much. Just, what can I say? Just the regular stuff.
I'm all ready for my maple bars with bacon.
Oh, yeah, that's coming up.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Maple bars and bacon.
We're looking forward to it, but now I'm trying to remember all the different stories that you've had lately have been really, really interesting. We've had train robberies, we've had stagecoach holdups, we've had dumb crooks, we've had all kinds of stuff. What do you got for us this morning?
Okay, I'm going to mention 2 names. Paul Newman and Robert Redford.
Well, I know who you're talking about, Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid.
Yeah, you know, we've mentioned them off and on, but I've never actually done a story about these 2 guys, so that's what we're going to do today.
Holy cow, I'll sit with bated breath.
All right, well, you know, this movie came out in 1970, Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid. I mean, it was popular. I mean, I loved it. It was a great, good old cowboy movie, so to speak. And a lot of the reviewers rated it as good entertainment, and really it was only historically accurate in a few scenes.
Oh, no.
It captures some of the glamour and the excitement that these outlaws managed to project during their lifetime. But Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid were only 2 members, but very important ones, operating mostly in Utah as part of the Wild Bunch, and otherwise known as the Hole in the Wall Gang. And around the turn of the century, they headquartered at a place called Robber's Roost.
Mm-hmm.
And the Hole in the Wall, or Brown's Hole, and these, you know, we think about that, but they were not holes in the sense that we think of. They were basically regions of rugged areas composed of rivers and canyons, and basically a place where bad men made a strike and they would disappear back into these canyons as if they had vanished into a hole.
Well, no,
so that's where they get the term hole, or hole in the wall, Brown's Hole.
Well, whereabouts really was this? I mean, I've heard so many varying stories about, well, the Hole in the Wall gang, they holed up over here, and it was over here, and it was over by this place. It was, where really was it?
You know, I was going to look that up, but you know, some of it was in Wyoming, some of it was in Utah, and I know a few years back they did horse trips into that area, and I was going to do that, and I never got a chance to do that. But so it really was probably a huge area that they, you know, through Wyoming and Utah that they could have gone into.
Sure.
So anyway. But, you know, it could be said that a lot of the outlaws and gangs comprised a wild bunch, so to speak. And sometimes they operated together, and sometimes they operated alone, and they'd ride into these holes whenever they felt like it, and they rode out in the same manner. And at times there might be a couple of hundred men in the area, and the next day they'd be all be gone. So now the Wild Bunch, they must be considered probably the half a dozen or so men who actually made the name famous. Okay? Now, the Sundance Kid had a reputation for violence, and actually only one killing can be chalked up to him. And Butch Cassidy never killed anybody. So as far as famous outlaws, these guys really were pretty mild. But The gang was an incredibly wide-ranging group of outlaws. They thought nothing of crossing the continent. They went to other countries. I mean, they enjoyed life with their ill-gotten gains, but they had a good time.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things that kind of confused the law is they would change their names. They'd switch back and forth and have aliases, and we'll kind of get to that here a little bit. But now, Butch Cassidy, and you know this, he was born Robert Leroy Parker.
Right.
In Circleville, Utah in 1866. He was the oldest of 7 children. His father was a devout Mormon, but none of that respectability rubbed off on his son. He fell in with a notorious horse thief by the name of Mike Cassidy. Now, Mike Cassidy, for some reason, Butch adopted the name Cassidy, and then later he added the name Butch. So really he was Robert Leroy Parker.
Mm-hmm.
So
well, it didn't sound so good. He knew they were going to make a movie later on in life, so he knew that adopting Butch Cassidy would have more of a film farah.
Right, and Paul Newman would obviously fit that much better than Robert Leroy Parker.
Oh, yeah. Who's going to listen to a guy that's an Old West hero by the name of Leroy?
That's right. So anyway, Butch Cassidy, he teamed up with a guy named Matt Warner, and joining them were Bill and Tom McCarty, and we've talked about them before a little bit. And together they robbed the San Miguel Valley Bank in 1889, and afterwards the gang split up, and Cassidy headed to the Hole in the Wall. Now the other guys, they went north, and they were all captured and put in prison. Well, in 1890, Butch Cassidy actually was operating a pretty good business from the Hole in the Wall in Wyoming. And other outlaws trusted him, and he had a sense of integrity and pretty good personality, just like Paul Newman.
Mm-hmm.
So, but he had a little thriving business of stolen cattle, and he would dispatch these to buyers in Colorado and Utah, and he would sell quantities of beef to the people locally. But his rustling career kind of came to an end when a tough sheriff hit him over the head with a revolver.
Ooh.
Kind of took the fight out of him, and he spent 2 years in the penitentiary. Well, the governor freed him in 1896, and on one promise, that he'd leave Wyoming and never return.
Mm-hmm.
So that's Butch. Okay, now let's go over to Sundance.
Oh, yeah.
In Sundance, Wyoming, there was a guy named Harry Longvow, and he had a reputation as being a tough bad man and a rustler, and no one is certain where he called home, but one story has that he came north with the Texas Trail herd and never returned. And he was kind of a moody, sullen, and just when he was drunk, which was often, and he either fought or talked too much, and sometime around 1895, he actually killed a deputy sheriff, and he fled down into the Hole in the Wall, where he became known as the Sundance Kid.
Uh-huh. Well, you know, really, truth is almost stranger than fiction, because Robert Redford always talked too much, too.
He did. And he was kind of sullen, kind of moody, right?
Oh, yeah.
At least in the movie.
Yeah. Well, not just in the movies there, my friend.
Yeah. Now, another guy that was kind of significant was a guy named Harvey Logan, and he drifted west, and he got involved with some rustlers in Wyoming, led by a guy named George Flatnose Curry.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that fits the guy that was in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the ranchers caught these guys red-handed. They disarmed the outlaws, threatened to kill them, and they said, you know what, if you guys will sign an agreement that you're going to leave Wyoming forever, we'll let you guys go.
Really?
Well, that was an obvious no-brainer, so Curry and Logan, these guys, they put their X on a mark, and they were escorted to the state line, and they took off. So the gang scattered. Now, Harvey Logan, he changed his name. Again, they kept doing this. He became known as Kid Curry.
Oh, really?
Yeah. His name was Harvey Logan, but became known as Kid Curry. So in Montana, he kind of got in a little trouble. He blew a few holes in a deputy sheriff, and so he headed for the Hole in the Wall. And this is where he hooked up with Butch Cassidy and became basically kind of dual authority guys. The two of them were kind of equals, I guess.
Okay.
So now, others of some importance in the gang were a guy named Bill Carver, another guy named Elza Lay, Ben and George Kilpatrick, and that was kind of the backbone of the Wild Bunch. So now the Wild Bunch also had some female companionship in there. Butch didn't seem to like the women in camp. He did not want to mix business with pleasure, so to speak.
You're on your own now. I'm just going to sit here and listen.
Right around this.
Yeah, I figured you would.
Well, there was a couple of gals. There was one named Laura Bullion, and she hooked up with Bill Carver, and then there was another gal named Annie Rogers, and she hooked up with Kid Curry. They were kind of common law husband and wife. But the most interesting female of the lot was Etta Place.
Mm-hmm.
Now, according to the legend, she was a beautiful woman, and I've got a picture of her here, and she is a very attractive lady, sophisticated, just a nice lady. But her hang-ups were outlaws. She tended to hook up with outlaws, and they brought her a lot of grief, but they gave her an interesting and exciting time, and too bad she didn't write her stories.
Well, stop right there, because I got to do a commercial, but I want to ask you a quick question. Was she, as the movie implied, or was it Hollywood, was she actually a school teacher?
This does not say that she was.
Okay.
So I don't know that.
I'll just pass that by, and we'll go right to a commercial. Stand by for more of the Wild Bunch and Dr. History. Would you like to start earning $30,000 to $40,000 a year in as little as 4 or 5 weeks? Well, then you call Lucky Born at CSI's New Sage Truck Driving School in Burley. Call right now, this minute, 878-5802. You'll get one-on-one over-the-road training and all the necessary endorsements. And when you've earned your CDL, their team will help you get your first truck driving job. You bet. New classes begin every week. Call Lucky Born right now at the new CSI Truck Driving School in Burley, 878-5802. And now, ladies and gentlemen, back to the salad dressing king of the Wild Bunch, Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid.
All right. Etta Place, she kind of became a pretty good friend of Sundance. And although Butch Cassidy growled and grumbled, the kid allowed her to accompany them wherever they went. So in a lot of the robberies, she actually held the horses, she loaded the guns, and she was the only woman to tag along when they went to South America. Now, under Cassidy's and Curry's leadership, Kid Curry, the outlaws were now ready to ride. Okay, they were a true gang. And they called their outfit the Train Robber Syndicate. A name which didn't, kind of had a business-like ring, but history would rather call them the Wild Bunch. It just sounds a little better than Train Robber Syndicate.
Oh, yeah,
so, yeah. Well, 1896, the Wild Bunch struck for the first time as an organized group. Cassidy and the others, plus several of the other guys, held up a bank in Montpelier, Idaho. And escaped. And probably a lot of our people know that was one of their first robberies was over in Montpelier.
Really?
Yeah, so, this, it was actually kind of a small job, but it gave them a taste of success. So less than a year later, Butch Cassidy and this guy named Elza Lay rode into a place called Castlegate, Utah, and they asked for work in the mine. Well, they just seemed like they were two guys looking for work. Well, early the next morning, arousing no attention, Cassidy and Lay walked into the paymaster's shack, put a gun in the cashier's face, and grabbed $8,000 and took off.
Oh, my.
So now we're getting into a little better pay, So the robbery created a sensation, and it was well planned. There was no violence, but it established Cassidy's reputation for leadership. So then they made a little raid on a bank in South Dakota, and this time they got a little more, $30,000. So they were, like I say, they were able to live pretty high on the hog. Now, in those days, there were basically 5 types of law enforcement, okay? There was the town marshal, who rarely left the city, except to be buried.
Right.
There were the sheriffs, who rarely left the county lines, except to pick up a prisoner.
I see.
Then there was the United States Marshals and the deputy marshals, whose effectiveness is kind of overrated by movies and television. And then there were the Rangers, like the Texas Rangers, and actually Arizona Rangers. And then we get to the top of the heap. These were the Pinkerton detectives.
Oh, and that's where that line came from. Who are those guys?
That's right, yes. So the Pinkertons, they were a private investigative firm, and, they started out in the Civil War protecting President Lincoln. Well, they were a well-trained private police force, and they broke up a lot of organized outlaw bands. So, but anyway, as law officers converged in the hole in the wall, they found none of the Wild Bunch because they had left. And so the Wild Bunch thought it best to stay quiet for a while, and Cassidy and Lay went to work as ordinary cowboys on a ranch in New Mexico. Butch worked hard, but his buddy Lay couldn't stay laying low, so he robbed a bank and he got put in jail. Now, over in Arizona, Kid Curry and Ben Kilpatrick held up the bank and got $12,000. They got caught. Well, actually, they kind of have an interesting story. Kid Curry's horse was a pretty good jumper, and so there was a little gully outside of town that ran for a couple of miles.
Yeah.
So Kid Curry robbed the bank, and Ben Kilpatrick was on the other side of this little gully. So Kid Curry robbed the bank, took off on a run, and his horse was able to jump the gully, but the posse couldn't.
Oh, really?
So, yeah. So that was kind of a unique...
So the posse stayed on one side, and Kid Curry was on the other, and the posse wished them a very happy New Year and a Merry Christmas.
That's right.
Yeah.
And there they went.
Yeah.
So, you know, Kid Curry now had enough money. He went over to France for a little while, but he got bored. He came back to... Actually, to Casper, Wyoming, they hit a Union Pacific Railroad. They got another $30,000, and this is where they blew the express safe with 3 charges of dynamite.
Oh yeah.
And 2 days later, the Wild Bunch, they were camped, and they didn't realize it, but they were in the middle of the West's greatest manhunt. Posses and the Pinkertons, they were coming all over the place to catch these guys. Well, when the Wild Bunch woke up the next morning, they were surrounded by these guys. This Kid Curry killed the sheriff, the bandits scattered, and I know we're running out of time, so I'm going to try to get through the best of this. But Winnemucca, Nevada, that was a bank that they wanted to finish off with a little money to get away with, and so they had a plan where they would leave some horses at various places along the escape route.
Okay.
And they got away with $32,000.
Uh-huh.
And right after this, to celebrate their good fortune, this is when they had their picture taken.
Oh, dumb move.
You remember the famous picture?
I do.
Yeah. I mean, it was a good shot that this photographer took, and he liked it so much he put it in his show window, and a passing Pinkerton detective happened to see this picture.
Oh, my.
So this wasn't good, you know. Now you didn't just have an artist rendition, you had a picture.
So are you telling me that Butch and Sundance really weren't the brightest bulbs in the fixture?
Well, they were pretty good, but, you know, having their picture taken and put in the middle of a showroom store probably wasn't the best thing. So, anyway, they kept going. They robbed a few other places. At one time, they disguised themselves as hobos so they wouldn't be caught. Well, the gang planned on fleeing to South America, but they first wanted one more big robbery, so they struck the Northern Railroad near Malta, Montana.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even know where that is, you know?
Yeah, I've been through that. It's a great big metropolis, huge.
Like Malta, Idaho. Okay. Well, it wasn't a bad haul. They got $50,000.
Yeah.
So, you know, that's enough to get them to South America, but... Kid Curry, he went to Tennessee. He got caught and sentenced to jail. He escaped and made his way west, but posse found him, and he ended up dead.
Uh-oh.
So Kid Curry was no longer in the group.
Yeah, he's gone.
Now, during this time, Butch Cassidy tried to work out a deal with the Utah governor because he really hadn't killed anybody. And they had arranged a meeting, but the sheriff didn't show, or the governor didn't show up, so... They decided to head to South America, and this is where he and the Sundance Kid and Etta Place sailed to Buenos Aires. They bought a ranch, and they stocked it, and during the next few years, they occasionally made short visits back to America. Now, at this point, their fate kind of gets vague and a little uncertain. Etta Place vanished. We don't know what happened to her.
Really?
Yeah, she was, you know, just somewhere in there, she just vanished. So. But some rumors indicate that Cassidy and Sundance might have returned to the United States and lived out a quiet and peaceful life. But we do know that the two outlaws robbed numerous banks and mines in South America.
Now,
and so they were the objects of manhunts down there, too.
Yeah, but now this is where Hollywood took over again, didn't it?
Yes, okay. So the most historically accepted version of what happened is that they were ambushed by soldiers following a Bolivian mine holdup, that rifle fire wounded Sundance. Cassidy dragged him inside a compound, and the two men held the army off all day and night. And when morning came, the soldiers rushed to the building. They found them dead. But Cassidy had fired a shot into the head of Sundance and used his last bullet on himself.
That's what they claim, right?
This is where a lot of people think that the bodies were not Butch and Sundance at all. The two bodies were put in the ground, in this little cemetery in the Andes, and some suspect that 2 other Americans had served the satisfaction of the Bolivian authorities, and that Butch and Sundance had themselves actually helped in this deception in order to escape.
Well, they're
resurfacing in the American West. People swore that they had spoken to them in South America and in the United States. In fact, the Pinkerton detectives left their files open for years because they didn't really believe the Bolivians.
Yeah.
And Butch Cassidy's sister claimed that Butch visited their father and did not die until 1937.
That's exactly what I was going to ask you about, because I heard about the sister, I heard about the death date of 1937. What do you, oh omnipotent one, in the history files and chronology of what happened, what do you believe?
You know, just based on the things I've read, I can't help but feel like they were smart enough to figure out a way to fake their own death.
That's what I'm thinking.
That's just me, and, you know, you can read a lot of different history stories that say, no, they were absolutely killed down there, and others say, no, they were absolutely still alive, they visited, they were seen by people, spoken to, so... You know, what better way than to fake their own death?
And, you know, I'm going to go one step further and say the same thing for Billy the Kid. I honestly do not believe that Billy the Kid was shot by Sheriff Pat. I don't think so. I think it was all a setup because Garrett and Billy the Kid were friends, and I think it was a way to get Billy the Kid out into obscurity and never show up again.
Yeah.
That's my own personal feeling, honestly.
Yeah. Well, what better way to, you know, to get out of the limelight, get out of the being chased by the posses, the Pinkertons. And like I said, the Pinkertons, they were pretty sharp guys. I mean, that was a national detective agency, but they were not convinced about, from the story from the Bolivian police.
And ladies and gentlemen, truth be told, just the other day at Dr. Ken Turner's address, a little wrinkled old man showed up, and he went in for a treatment, and when Dr. Turner asked him about who he was, he said, with a wink, the Hole in the Wall Gang.
Everything that happens here is confidential.
Hey, I got to run, but that was a great story. I'm sorry we're out of time because I have 1,000 other questions for you. But see what you can do to find out about Etta Place. I'd like to know what happened to her.
Yeah, and, you know, everything I've read, nobody seems to know.
Okay, well, listen, Dr. History, you did it again. And thanks for listening to Dr. History, brought to you by the new CSI Sage Truck Driving School in Burley with Lucky Bourne, 878-5802. Doc, God bless. Have a good week.
All right. You have a good day, Zeb.
Thank you, sir.
Bye.
Ladies and gentlemen, don't forget, say cheese. That's the theme of the Jerome County Fair and Rodeo for 2013, August 6th through the 11th, and they're going to have a ripping good time at the Jerome County Fair. I'll tell you what, everything from pig wrestling to PRCA rodeo and all kinds of just fun things. It's a fair that you and the whole family can enjoy. So take it in this next week over in Jerome at the county fairgrounds. You're going to have a lot of fun. All the vendors and just everything. They're going to make sure that it's fun for you and the entire family. Say cheese at the Jerome County Fair, August 6th through the 11th. We're going to take a break. Be right back. Very interesting guest, Mr. Vince Coakley, coming up. Don't go away.
Good morning. It is now time for funeral announcements brought to you by Rasmussen Funeral Home, 1350 East 16th Street in Burley. A family serving family. The funeral for Donna M. Midden, an 88-year-old Paul resident, will be held at 11 a.m. this morning at Rasmussen Funeral Home in Burley. Bishop Harry Sanford will be officiating, and burial will follow at the Falls Cemetery. Timothy Lane, a 59-year-old Burley resident, died Friday, July 26th at the Mini-Cash Care Center in Burley. At Tim's request, no formal services will be held. Cremation is under the direction of Rasmussen Funeral Home and Cremation Services of Burley. This concludes funeral announcements for today, brought to you by Rasmussen Funeral Home, 1350 East 16th Street in Burley. A family serving family.
What are some of the greatest moments in sports? For me, I think of the basketball games in my uncle's driveway when I was a kid. Looking up at my uncle to get to the basket was like staring up at a mountain. But he always kept me in the game, even when his arm would reach in the wrong direction and give me the perfect shot. He wasn't just my uncle. He was my friend. When he died, his funeral allowed me to share what he meant to me. I even brought in the basketball we played with years ago, and my trophies that I consider to be his trophies too. It was a meaningful funeral for a life worth celebrating.
Rasmussen Funeral Home in Burley can provide that meaningful funeral for you and your family. Rasmussen Funeral Home, a family serving families. Located at 1350 East 16th Street in Burley. Let them help you celebrate the life of your loved one.
And now back to Zeb at the Ranch on AM 1230 KBAR. To reach Zeb, call 436-2244 or toll free 1-866-927-4587. And now, here is Zeb Bell.
Thank you. Last half hour, as a matter of fact, we're on the home stretch, and my horse is leading. Here we go. We want to remind you, too, before we get our guest on the air, be aware of door-to-door salespeople that are selling Dish or DirecTV. Hey, they might even mention that they're associated with our friends Qualys Electronics. Be certain that Qualys Electronics does not do any door-to-door sales, and believe me, they can handle the Dish and DirecTV right from their location at 1730 Kimberly Road in Twin Falls and save you possibly hundreds of dollars. Talk to the pros. Talk to the people that know. That's Qualys Electronics, 1730 Kimberly Road in Twin Falls, 733-4910. I think what we'll do real quick before we get Mr. Coakley on the air is we'll also have a weather update real quick with MichaelRogersWeather.com. And the weather update this hour brought to you by Lennox Home Comfort Systems, air conditioners, and all right there at Ramsey Heating and Electric, 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley, 678-0459. Here is Michael Rogers Weather.
Hello, everybody. Michael Rogers from MichaelRogersWeather.com. The dog days of summer continue in the Magic Valley. Sunny 92 for the high, 60 for the overnight low. It's going to be warmer tomorrow. In fact, it's going to be hot tomorrow. Hot tomorrow, a high of 96. Enjoy the weather. It's the only weather you got.
Thank you, Michael. Lennox Home Comfort Systems, air conditioners, everything for you through Ramsey Heating and Electric, 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley, 678-0459. Ladies and gentlemen, let me give a little preface to how I met this gentleman via the phone line. Doug Johnson, very good friend of mine from Colorado, called me and said, I know a gentleman that is a conservative and Christian and a former TV news anchor and radio talk show host himself, and he is very, very willing and able to come on the program and talk about race relations in America, Mr. Vince Coakley. Vince, good morning to you. How are you?
Hey, good morning. Doing pretty well. Good to be with you.
Now, Vince, I got to ask you, first and foremost, you're back in North Carolina, and in the summertime, North Carolina, with the humidity and everything, it can be a killer. How warm is it right now?
Well, I think it's only probably in the upper 70s, maybe low 80s about now. We've had some days approaching 90. It's been a little bit warmer, a little bit hotter, but we've gotten a little bit of a reprieve in the past few days, so it hasn't been too bad.
All right, well, I appreciate you being on our show. Give us a little background about yourself, Vince. Former TV news anchor. Tell us a little bit about yourself so we know who and what we're talking about this morning.
Well, where do I possibly begin? I mean, I can just talk about the media aspect of it. I actually started in media, I guess you can say it's been 30 years ago, a little over 30 years ago. When I was a teenager, I had a high school teacher who just thought I had the best voice and said, you know what, you ought to consider going to radio. It turns out this particular guy knew someone at the radio station, and this was in the town of Newark, Delaware. And so I ended up going over there and recording a couple of things they thought were pretty cool. Next thing you know, I'm a disc jockey at a adult contemporary radio station, and this was my junior year in high school, I think. So that was the beginning of it. Later on, I moved to Kentucky, and of all things, I know this is pretty strange for a black guy to play country music. I did that for several years while I was in school. Went on to go to college and transitioned into a little TV. Ultimately ended up doing work part-time as a weekend reporter while I was still doing radio, while still in school, while also working some in ministry, not a paid position. But then went on to work 2 TV stations full-time for a year each in Kentucky, then came here to Charlotte, North Carolina, did 18 years there, starting off as a reporter, worked all the way up to main anchor before leaving that in 2010, and from there I've been doing talk radio. Did a year at WBT, which is a powerhouse radio station, and now I've been doing my own show online for the last year plus. So that's, I think that's a pretty good synopsis of my career anyway.
Well, I'm impressed, and I'm very happy to have you on the program. And the reason I wanted to talk to Vince Coakley this morning on my program is that over the last year, we have seen, I think, a tumultuous turn of events that have been not pleasant in what I would call a very divisive administration. Obama was going to be the great uniter, and quite frankly, I see it the other way. I think racial relations in this country are at an all-time low since I would compare way back to Selma, Alabama in the 60s. Vince, would you agree or disagree that we're seeing more of a divide today through this administration than we've seen in the previous administrations?
Oh, I would definitely agree with that. In fact, there's a poll. I haven't talked about this yet on my show, but there's actually a poll indicating that race relations, certainly from the time this president took office to now, they are worse. And you have to understand this is intentional. Again, a story I've not read. I put in my stack for show prep today. There's a guy, I think his name is Trevor Loudon, who has done something on this issue. And he goes even further back. So this goes beyond race. This goes to ideology, that one of the techniques of communists is to stir up racial unrest. And I really believe this is what we're looking at in this administration. Keep in mind, this is a Saul Alinsky-inspired administration. So what you do is while you're stirring up racial strife, or you get your supporters to do that, you can do all kinds of things to undermine the Constitution, to take people's money, to take their constitutional rights, and people aren't paying attention because they're too focused on Zimmerman and all this other garbage. So I would absolutely agree. I would add something, too, because my perspective on Obama is a little bit different in this respect. There's a lot of I guess you can say, negative thoughts aimed at Obama, and I'm no fan of Barack Obama. But I think what people have to understand, that Barack Obama is the culmination, his presidency, the fact that he's even there, is the culmination of 100 years of progressive work. The progressives have been at this with their community organizing groups, the educational system, the media. They have been working this. And so the fact that Obama's even in office this is kind of like the crowning of their achievements over this period of time. So the racial aspect is just part of it. And the tragedy is, unfortunately, so many blacks do not understand that this man does not even have their best interest at heart.
You just made a statement right there at the very end that I want you to elaborate on. Unemployment figures, the status of the black community in the United States, everything, I think, and again, Vince, correct me if you think I'm wrong, has sunk to an all-time low in this administration that basically has ignored the plight of black Americans. Would you agree or disagree with that?
Oh, I would agree, and I would make the point, and I tell people this all the time, irrespective of what black Americans think, they see someone with their same skin color and they think, okay, he's one of us. And I tell people all the time, he's not. He is one of them. And when I say them, I need to explain the paradigm with which I approach things, which is not even Democrat and Republican. It's really elites versus everybody else. Mm-hmm. We have an elitist, progressive culture that is attempting to consolidate power in Washington, D.C., and basically take power away from everybody else. So people should not have the misconception that just because this guy is black, that he concerns about black. He's really genuinely concerned about black people. He isn't. He has used that, and the elites have used him they know that people are going to vote for him just for that reason. The tragedy is that most people don't look and see what he's done to be able to see that, yes, we have an unemployment rate that is almost to the point where it was for blacks during the Great Depression.
Yes.
I mean, people can say whatever they want about George Bush. I'm not even a George Bush fan. But this man has taken a bad situation, and he's made it worse. And the tragedy is too many black Americans don't know enough to understand that he is making their plight worse.
Okay, now, Vince, stop right there, because you're making another excellent point that needs to be elaborated on again. Why then do what I will call race baiters, and that these people are the Al Sharptons and the Jesse Jacksons, etc., why can't they see this? Why can't they see the plight? Why can't they see the negativity? And why can't they build on possibly something positive to help their race get from these numbers and extend themselves up the ladder to success?
There's a quote that I heard that I think it was designed to, it was specifically directed at the church system in America, which is another subject of passion of mine, which I won't go into now. But I think it was a line, something to the effect that people aren't going to get it when their power and their paychecks rely on them not getting it. This is what you have to realize. Jesse Jackson, Al Sharpton, they have basically built an industry around grievance, around complaints, around a perpetual racial, I guess you can say, the idea that we're in 1960. Their whole industry is built on the idea that you've got to convince people that we're still there. Once people realize that the civil rights movement, at least that movement, and the goal of equality, at least the equality of opportunity, once people come to understand that, at least the majority, these guys are out of business. So all I can say is I don't think they have any cause for coming to understand the truth, because the truth really is, number one, it's not what they're about, and number two, it really would spell the end of who they are.
When you look at the, I think, very professional, very astute leadership that could have a hand to the black race and say, follow me, the Ben Carsons and many others, why is the black race not listening to these people and following the likes of Jackson and Sharpton? It doesn't make any sense to me.
Well, one, I'd want to make a little clarification on language, and I heard someone kind of correct this the other day, and I agreed with this. I think we should first focus on, when we talk about race, we should strive to emphasize the idea that there's only one race, and that's the human race.
Amen.
I think that would be a significant improvement. Now, in terms of among black people, there's a lot of work that has to be done. Because I believe what's happened, the civil rights movement, so-called civil rights movement, has really metastasized into, during the Martin Luther King Jr. period, it was a quest for equal opportunity. It's been hijacked, unfortunately, by the progressive movement, where now it's not about equal rights and opportunity. It's now about progressive ideology, which means they're going to demand special things. So now it's not just opportunity, it's a demand for certain privileges, like health care, like being, basically the government should take care of me. This is progressivism. So the whole movement, it's been taken over. Now, this is where it gets to, how do we reach people in the black community? Here is my answer, because I think this is profoundly spiritual. A good part of it is, it's going to have to be relational. It's going to have to be connecting with people in those communities and sharing with them the ideas of empowerment, of responsibility, of basically breaking away from the pack and pack thinking. But here's the fundamental thing, and this requires a little more development. I grew up at a time where I came to experience something as a teenager, which is kind of unusual. And I'm not throwing stones here in any particular denomination when I say this. But when I first became a Christian, I went through a transformative experience where the Lord was showing me that I needed to overcome a perspective that's focused on being black and on being Baptist. I grew up Baptist. And again, it's not to denigrate the Baptist church, but my identity is not found in being Baptist, and it's not found in being black. This was significant for me because once that veil was lifted off of me, then I'm able to relate to people in different circles because my identity is in a relationship with God rather than skin color.
Amen.
This is the reason, this is the number one reason why you're not, to the extent that you don't overcome the problems, this is why it's not happening.
Amen.
Because people have been told, and this is being reinforced, unfortunately, in black homes, in black media, in black civil rights stuff, it's reinforcing this racial identity rather than a spiritual identity.
Amen.
So if I see things with black glasses, I'm going to read race into everything. This is why you have people like, I can't remember the guy's name, who's an actor, who made the comment that everything is about race. If you believe that, you're in bondage. You'll never, never break out of that. And it's going to hurt you more than it's going to hurt everybody else.
I agree. We have a caller with a question, Vince. Stand by. Caller, appreciate your patience. Go ahead, please.
Yes, I'm sure you're familiar with Louisiana State Congressman Albert Guillory, and I bring him up all the time because it was such an amazing story. I cannot believe that he isn't on the air all the time, because the only way we're going to change this is to reach out to the blacks and either have them admit that some of the stuff they believe is folly, or the fact that they're so underinformed that this cannot sustain itself. And I'll hang up. Thanks.
Thank you, caller. Vince, go ahead and respond, please.
Well, here's one thing I would say to the caller. One of the things I think is very significant about this is everybody, I think, has to take ownership of this. It'll be easy to say that, okay, we've got this new black star, whether it's Alan West or Herman Cain, we've seen different iterations of people come along, and we really like it. They go, oh, wow, this person's great. The black community needs to listen to those people. Let me just say two things to that. One of them is, very often, they're not even exposed to these voices. They're listening to the Michael Eric Dysons, the Al Sharptons, and the other garbage and nonsense on MSNBC and BET. Here's where you can make a difference, and this is what I emphasize. You need to, especially if you're a Christian, you need to ask the Lord, what do you want me to do about this? Because you need to make the choice in your neighborhood to reach out to people unlike you, not as a project, but to get to know them, relate to them, because the tragedy is a good part of the time, I'll say, blacks are taught to be fearful of whites, and this Zimmerman narrative, the guy's Hispanic, we all know that, but the Zimmerman narrative is white people are out to get you. They're out to shoot and kill your children. They're out to discriminate against you and keep you from opportunity. They're out to deprive you of jobs, of whatever else. So the best thing you can do is to counteract that perspective, because the chances are we have a resegregating of America that's taking place. And this is not happening by whites choosing to stay away from blacks. This is happening by blacks being told not to trust whites. So you're going to have to go against that grain and almost, in a sense, invade and say, look, hey, I want to be your friend. I want to get to know you. I want to come to understand you. You've got to break those stereotypes, because the chances are, for many blacks, they're not going to cross that line because they don't trust you.
Yeah, but Vince,
you've got to have a love within you that's going to compel you to reach into their world, because chances are they're not going to reach out.
You really made a good point there, and I want to elaborate a little bit more on that. The word pride comes into play in my mind right now. Where do you and how do you install or instill the pride in family, the pride in community, i.e. Chicago and Detroit and other areas? How do we reinstate the pride so that their community is prideful of what they have and what they can achieve?
Yeah, this has got to come back, Seb, to personal identity. Because if my own personal identity is broken, if it's marred, then I can't identify with anything larger than myself and my own survival. So that's where you've got to work. I've got to keep bringing this back up to individual work and relationship. And the best way to break this is, again, what I described earlier. It's got to be somebody investing in love in individuals. What's our Constitution about? Is it about groups? Is it about classes? Is it about racial distinctions? No. It's about us as individuals. And, you know, the beauty of that is, I believe in Christianity, we have a God who says he knows the very hairs on our head are numbered.
Right.
What does that tell us about God? He knows us and cares for us individually. He doesn't see us as a group. And so that's where this has to come back to. And I know this is in our age of mass media, this is a little difficult for us because we want to be able to throw out we want to open up a stadium, we want to throw a Guillory or a C.L. Bryant or someone in the stadium, and we want to say, hey, all black people go in there and listen to these guys. It's not going to be that easy. It's going to require love, a human touch, one person to another person. That's how you begin turning this thing around.
You know, Vince, we could go on, and I want to have you back on this program on a regular basis because I love the way you think, and I think your remarks are very well stated. But, you know, when I played a lot of sports, and on a sports team, it is a team. It's not an I situation. It's a team. And I don't care if they're black, Hispanic, Caucasian, it doesn't make any difference. We have one goal in mind. Can we, as a society here in America, through the Obama administration and hopefully onto something better, can we reinstate the team atmosphere with the races in this country?
Yep, and it goes back to what I said about starting with the individual, because once you have healed, whole individuals, well, guess what you can do from there? You can then begin building community. Now, I hope I have time to just briefly tell you, this is the what I would call a biblical approach. And let me contrast the biblical approach and a government approach, the liberal, statist, communist, whatever you want to call it. See, you probably heard the Harris Perry woman on MSNBC talking about how, we've got to get over this idea of the children belonging to their parents. And it's the whole Hillary Clinton model of it takes a village. Well, the government view is that the collective is not about community. That's not really what it's about. It's about government control and government ownership. Well, here's the contrast to that. Christianity, what it does is it starts with loving relationship with God, then builds on that to family and family relationship, then that moves on to community and us relating out of what? Out of love and mutual respect. That's how you begin building this thing back. So that's right. That's how you get there. It's got to start with that relational and choice. Because if I don't make the choice to love, there's no hope. And I don't want to sound pessimistic here, but I will say the only thing that's going to last long term is something that's based in love, relationship, in community. If it's not built on that, if it's built on organization, hierarchical structures, compelling people to do things, it's not long-term going to work.
Absolutely. Vince, I absolutely hate to interrupt you, and I hate to stop our conversation, but you know something? Our business, as you well know, is dictated to by the clock, and I'm out of time. And I absolutely am going to ask you on the air if you'll commit to coming back on my program and visiting with us again, because you're an amazing man. I'd like to have more.
sure would love to. I've enjoyed it.
All right. Vince Coakley from North Carolina, excellent TV news anchor and radio talk show host. Thank you, sir. God's blessings to you, and I'll be in touch. Thank you so much.
God bless you.
Thank you. Very nice and very knowledgeable individual from North Carolina, Vince Coakley. And I'm going to have him back on again, and we're going to be more specific about race relations here in the United States. And again, I want to thank Doug Johnson from Colorado for the referral to this man's name, and very interesting program. Thank you very much. Don't forget your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. All 7 locations serving you with the best of tires. You know that. The best of tires for all your driving, your cars, pickups, SUVs, horse trailers, boat trailers, and then of course you know they've got the best in brake service. Absolutely, with professionally trained technicians, premium quality parts, over 30 years experience, and they've got the best in free lifetime tire and mileage care, the best of free peace of mind tire protection, all of this at every location serving you. Let's run them down. You betcha. Here we go. Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike in Buell, Mike over in Jerome, the Twist family in Paul, Lane and Rupert, John on Poline in Twin Falls, and Randy on Overland in Burley. The best. Your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. You stop in and see them today. Okay, what have we got tomorrow on the program? Let's take a look. Tomorrow got shot full of holes, quite frankly. I had everything lined up. And then some of the folks got sick, some had to leave town, so we're going to wait and see what we end up with the final net result for tomorrow. I do know that we're going to have a lady on talking about Catholicism and what's happening in the Catholic Church with this new Pope, and I do know that we're going to have Doug Johnson on from Colorado, and I think we're going to have my good friend Dave Beagle from Indianapolis coming on talking about the SEIU union advocating a walkout of the fast food industry for a higher doubling of the minimum wage. I can't wait to hear what Dave's got to say about that. Gina, excellent job. Thank you for everything you did over at the studio. Again, I keep praising you because it was flawless.
Oh, well, thank you, sir. And he was a great interview.
We're going to have him back many more times, and he's going to become a regular on our program, and we've become fast friends, quite frankly. Vince Coakley from North Carolina, he is a conservative black man and a Christian and a radio talk show host himself, and we'll have him back.
Awesome. I'm looking forward to it.
All right, Gina. Thank you much. Until tomorrow at 8:06, we'll saddle the horse and ride for 3 hours. Zeb at the Ranch. Don't forget, right here on KBAR 1230 and streaming live on the net, zebbell.com. The way things were are the way things ought to be. See you tomorrow morning.